votre au quotidien. C'est sur très
SonarFeed! Woo!
Sounds like a jolly little picnic group.
Welcome to Episode 246, hashtag Sonar Burger. Woo!
We're pivoting the show, and we're going to become a hamburger stand downtown Renton. Welcome to SonarFeed. We actually still probably would be ahead of the curve were we to open a hamburger stand. Where are we? Episode 246? Yep. Wow, 246. It's like a math problem waiting to happen. So welcome to the show. We're here with actual positivity.
Woo!
Wait, we have positivity, then we have more positivity, and then we have rampant speculation.
Of positivity.
But like speculation that may actually be based on facts. So, yeah, it's super weird.
This might be the most positive show of the season.
Yeah. You should not tweet. But other than not tweeting,
Wow.
we can't quantify that. But anyway, so welcome to the show.
Just order a burger.
You just keep ordering them, right? Call IHOB, and they'll just keep delivering them to you for the rest of the show.
Wendy's reaction was the best.
No, Whataburger had the best.
Cookie Monster.
Whataburger's response was, "We like pancakes, but we're not what a pancake."
Damn.
And then everybody's like, what is Whataburger?
Also, yeah.
You don't know what Whataburger
I've never
is?
had one. I don't.
The majority of folks don't.
So before we devolve into the usual thing that is SonarFeed, let's maybe introduce ourselves. I'll introduce you. To my right, your very far left.
Adam Weigel.
Adam Weigel.
At Weigel.
At Weigel.
I'm Tom Biro, a.k.a. Bougie Hooli. And to my left, your right.
I'm Mark, and I'm deleting my account.
Sounds like a public service announcement. And to Mark's left.
Yeah, hi, how you doing, everybody? Nico Marino, El Rolo, NW. Yeah. Over here, just happy to be here, guys. Love the weather, smells delicious, and I'm waiting for the waitress to come by.
What does El Rolo stand for?
El Rolo is a
It's that little
nickname.
candy with caramel in it.
It's amazing, too.
You don't have no.
Damn.
You don't know how many times I've been told that. But no, I'm not. Even though I am small and delicious, it's.
Someone tweet that right now from the
Man
SonarFeed
always spits
account.
out facts.
It's the nickname for somebody who lives in Bogota. It really has no real straight up
So it's like
translation, but it's
Tapatio
just
for
what they
people
call
in
us.
Jalisco.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yep. So Rolo you mean for Bogota.
And to your
And
left.
to my left,
His
You're
right.
right.
I'm Dave Clark.
Did you just come from skeet shooting? Or like, what were you doing? What were you doing before
you
the
look
show?
dangerous.
You look
The
like you
lights
went
are
to the
bright.
golf course.
Oh,
I wouldn't want to mess with you. You look like you
Anyway.
carry.
that's Dave Clark.
At Better Than.
Boom.
Spelled funky.
You will hear him. Oh.
No question. Too soon?
No, they know.
I was totally on time. And to the
And to my
way far left,
Hugo
you will
Garcia.
definitely hear him.
No question about it. At Mi Vida Seattle, 100% Tapatio. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That means I
Oh,
always
yeah.
love hot sauce.
Yes, it does.
Con
Yes,
gafas.
it does. Yes, con gafas, indeed. Primera vez que tengo
Ah.
aquí
Oh,
lentes.
join the club. Yay.
Yeah, let's go.
That's a Burien City planner. Hugo Garcia.
Commission. Yeah, you could call me the commissioner.
Commissioner Garcia.
Yeah.
Commissioner Garcia.
That's why you got
That
the
was, by the way,
glasses, so you
a
look more
terrible television program. The Commish. Great cast, not a good show.
Are you gonna have a ring of security, Hugo?
I might have to do something. Put up maybe a ring of honor or something.
No. Okay. You're not gonna have
Wow.
bodyguards next to you. You know what I'm saying? Actually, don't talk to Hugo.
So a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. 2 local Sounders victories,
Insane.
goals,
That's the first time it's happened this year, huh?
multiple goals. 2 come from behinds.
both
Right?
of them.
We're not doing phrasing. And some player speculation. And World Cup starts this week.
Yes.
Let's go.
No question.
And we're pivoting to a burger stand. It's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about all of the things. But really, like, let's just dive straight into Saturday. Dave, did you have something to say?
Oh, I just had to say, with the World Cup starting, the Berliner Pub will have the games on
At what time?
11. They'll have all the 11 o'clocks.
Okay.
And they will open early when Germany is on.
As one does.
Yeah. So follow the Berliner Pub, Facebook.com/Berliner Pub or something along those lines, or Twitter. And they're hosting us tonight,
Second of Main.
just off of 3rd and Main, downtown Renton.
It's
Ahead of the
second.
curve.
Thank you.
Third.
So, yeah.
It was a joke.
I've watched the Euros here previously when they put up the Carlsberg
was a
sign
joke.
back in 2012.
I've watched World Cup games here. I've watched the Mexico World Cup game here against Croatia 4 years ago.
We once watched a Mexico-USA game together here, you and I.
Yeah, we did.
That was a split crowd.
The U.S. once was in the World Cup.
More than once. They ended a really long streak.
Speaking of which, did you see Brad Evans was like, so are we just not
He's hilarious.
are we just not watching,
No,
or is
he's
everyone
not.
picking a team? And it's really funny because one of my Facebook friends posted, they're like, I really think that all people in the United States should support Mexico. And basically 100% of commenters on said Facebook post are like, nope, family heritage or GTFO. Which
I kind of go with that.
Hold on, do you
I don't
talk
know
about
if I had a
Landon
strong opinion
or
about
Brad
that
Evans?
before
Who said that?
right now. No, somebody else on Facebook. Brad was just kind of like a do we care or not? Like, where's this going? And that's just Brad know how to work the room, ultimately. But this was like a no, I think we should support Mexico, like pro CONCACAF, blah,
Do
blah,
it.
blah, blah, blah.
That was Landon
And I'm
Donovan.
like, and someone was like, yeah, we're not rooting for Portland in anything, so no.
That's hilarious.
I think I agree with that. I think you could just, if you want to pick a team, pick a team. But like the heritage thing feels a lot more authentic.
Let me ask somebody from South America. Would you root for Argentina, Nico?
Not as long as Colombia's in it. I would.
Yeah,
maybe,
but Colombia-Argentina isn't.
Who's the
No,
biggest
no,
rival?
no. It's a big rivalry.
Who's the biggest rival
it's
for
just
Colombia?
That, it's just that with me, I'm a little bit different because I believe in sports poetic justice, and I feel like the best player in the world should kind of maybe get a World Cup. But if it wasn't for Messi, yes, I would want Argentina to win because we don't like each other.
If there's one thing I'm good at.
But it's not your
Sorry,
biggest
beer.
rival.
It's one of them. We've had.
Oh, that's cute.
We don't have like an immediate direct rival
Because all your neighbors kind of suck.
yes, for that, and then the other teams have been just really, really good.
Like, you
Always
could be a rival
Brazil,
with Venezuela.
Argentina. You can say Venezuela, and it's kind of
Bolivia?
like they're kind of below us, and then Ecuador. I mean, previously,
Ecuador had
guys.
a couple good years, like cycles, but like
Yeah, it's just
proved
hard to
it right
tell.
now and
I
won't
would say
be ever
Brazil.
again.
I say Brazil and Argentina are the ones that we believe that we have to kind of go at it, and we try to play our best soccer, and yeah. Yeah, so basically that's it. And Colombia plays on Tuesday against Japan, and I hope that we get a good win. I have a feeling that Falcao is going to be the golden boot. That's just my
Really?
thought.
Damn.
Yep. Yeah, I said it. I said
Book
it.
it.
I don't know why. It just
He needs to be positive.
Forlan. Do you guys remember Forlan in
Yeah.
2010? At that age, a striker.
We've heard of
for
him.
How many
some
lawns?
reason.
Four
four lawns.
lawns.
Four lawns.
Shout out to Matt Oak.
And Zucker, when he got the Golden Boot as well, I feel like those older forwards that have been in it and all of a sudden get a chance to be around a good team, get a lot of goals. I think that Colombia has a really good group around that could feed him some balls, and Falcao could finish. We have a relatively decent group, Poland, Japan, and Senegal. So I feel like it could happen.
Who's this year's James?
Yeah, because James was kind of like the goal scorer last.
Yeah, but he came out of nowhere.
He's
right?
still
He was-
alive, right?
He's playing for Bayern. He's doing all right.
No, like, but he's going to be at the World Cup.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know
100%.
Colombia's
But
roster.
Yeah.
he kind of wasn't expected to shine like he did. He was kind of like the superstar that came out of the World Cup last year or 4 years ago.
Yeah,
For Colombia, who is that this year? Who do you think is the next, unheralded, up and coming star for Colombia?
maybe Uribe, the player for America. He is a box-to-box midfielder.
Former
Great.
shortstop. Sorry.
No, yeah, maybe. No, he's a box-to-box midfielder who has a good mid-range shot, has had a really good season with America. He could do a little bit of everything. I think he could be that player that after this World Cup, if he does it well, if he does it right, he'll end up in a European team.
Yeah, he needs to get out of Club America. Oh, no, that's not Club America. That's other America. That's Colombia's America, right?
No, Club America.
Oh,
yep.
God.
Yeah, he played well for them in La Liguilla.
He needs to leave because he's a good player. Go to Europe.
Everybody's really
I
quiet
just can't
up
decide. Well, I didn't want to interrupt. the
Oh, thank
flow.
you. Appreciate
You're
it.
rolling.
It's
You're
because
rolling.
it's
Appreciate it,
World
my
Cup.
man.
It's World Cup. That's why.
It is
So-
World Cup. I get heated.
So let's talk about Saturday. I think we were since we were last here. You know what? Let's go back to Saturday or Wednesday, excuse me, because it makes the week story a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So Wednesday, Tuesday, Open Cup, Wednesday.
Oh God.
So we had a show on Monday, and we were, let's call it, definitely pessimistic about Wednesday, and all of our beliefs came true. There was a goal, which was cool.
Yeah.
As our
Keeper that stood on his head for a minute. Monmouth Hawks, by the way. Anyway,
Rutgers.
not Rutgers.
That's not Rutgers.
It's not Rutgers.
Yeah, that was Brian Meredith. He had an
Brian Meredith had a great
extraordinary
game.
We should have lost 5-1. that
Came
game.
away with nothing except really good jokes about a guy named Tainter. and really though, like, yet another year of no US Open Cup, which personally, like, it felt really miserable.
Demoralizing.
Like, I went into Thursday and Friday just shitty about the weekend.
Me too.
As bad as DCU is, it just, you knew it was going to be a different lineup and so on, but at the end of the day, it's all the same team. As many S2 players or non-regular starters are on it, that's gotta hurt. No, even if you weren't in that lineup on Wednesday night for the rest of the players. And as much as we all like to be like, well, that's going to motivate them to come out more, like,
Aussie, man. Like,
it's like a 4-month run of inconsistent,
No, they've been
let's
pretty
get
consistent.
injured, brutal. Well, they've been consistently not good.
Yeah.
But have
They're
just
consistent
like,
about getting injured.
they have, which we talk more about that again too. But I can't say they went into the weekend going, oh yeah, we're going to feel pretty good about taking on DC. Like, that had to have just hurt going into Saturday.
Because we lost Lamar Nagel in the Open Cup game.
Yeah.
Because you need another injury.
At Ford.
Yeah.
We're deep there.
But,
And then Saturday, like an hour or so before the game, Felix Tinkham scratched from the 18. Hamstring injury.
Cool.
you know what? If I may say, I mean, I get that that's definitely something that happened. I think that was a hit to the group. But going to practice right before the game,
Saturday?
when Nico, Friday, when Nico was there, he had this motivation and this delight about. I don't know. The group seemed really together. They were doing some kind of huddle with a lot of like energy. He brought something different to the mix, and I felt like having Victor and Nico, knowing you're going to start those guys, because we knew it.
Right.
Being on Friday, you knew those two guys were going to start. He gave them a different feel. Just seeing in practice, they connected so much quicker with those two guys on the field that I felt like they said, "Hey, you know what? I think we could win this because we have these two guys who just make us that much better in the last third of the field, which is what we've been lacking."
Yeah.
So I feel like those two guys give them a little bit of a.
Which is great. I think, Thursday we all probably just woke up and were shitty about it. But I will say Friday, I remember that afternoon, and Mickey's in the crowd here. You had posted some things about that, but I think that the vibe was, well, shit, Ladero's back. Anything could happen. And we did joke about it. It's like you want him to come play the OBA World Cup, the Ladero version. And, as we talked about, like, he and Roldan just running around the field everywhere.
Yeah, he definitely had to, we're really lucky or grateful that we have Nico, but he's always had this rally cry attitude about getting everybody, going. Yeah. He did it right when he got here, when we picked him up in 16. And he does that for big games or when we have to have a stand. So, man, I definitely was more optimistic once I knew he was going to play. That's for sure. Because obviously we know that that's what we needed, man. We needed a more consistent attack in the last third, man. So thank God. Thank you, Nico.
Yeah, and there were two ways he was going to come back. He was going to come back either down in the gutter, just feeling sorry for himself and just thinking that, he was not going to go to the World Cup, but he just turned it around. I feel like he came in here with a purpose, trying to show that he could play, that he could bring this team back, and the team kind of rallied around it. I talked to Christian Roldan. He kind of felt that out of him. Will Bruin said with Nico and Victor, we're going to be able to just get more balls, be more goal dangerous, and it happened, man. I think that he came in with the right attitude, and you're going to see a very involved, very passionate Nico for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and that's tough to do. Think about it. As a professional, you pretty much, don't get the promotion or the opportunity for your last World Cup. I think most folks would have a hard time traveling halfway across the world in that situation and be able to do that. So that shows his commitment to the club, his passion for the sport, and just his personal toughness. Gracias, Nico.
He's just so fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And it's, and they've had players before who've just been, the Energizer Bunny, just everywhere kind of thing. But just seeing him be jazzed to be here after a decimating kind of emotion that he probably was feeling for a week or so, let alone the fact that he was injured and hadn't really been helping the team to date or seen much of the field at all. It was just refreshing, to see him out there and not have it be like injured player comes back and has a mediocre game. Nope, dude was in and worked it, which was really cool. And I one thing we were talking about in the section was when Ozzy came on and they gave him the armband. I couldn't tell if that was Ozzy's the captain again, or this was a no, we're gonna change the tone. This is we're a team. You're the long-term leader. I was back today, kind of thing. It felt just different and interesting, and it was maybe an emotion or a thing we haven't really had yet this season. It was cool.
Yeah,
ultimately.
I agree, no question. It was exciting to see him back in there. It's Ozzy. Especially when he came in and had that shove on that dude.
Yeah,
we need to stop fucking around. Let's go at these guys. Let's bring it to them. Some people might think that was a little bit rough, but I don't care, man. You got to make a statement, and that's exactly what he does. Damn it!
How do you really feel?
Yeah, and I'm holding back.
And he's such a positive, man. I mean, it's just like to all these people that have been wanting to get rid of Brian Smetzer and wanting to get rid of Garth Lagerwey, and they thought that was, we have a healthy team, we're such a better team. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so right there for you to look at, and you don't see it. I mean, Brian has done great things with this team. And look, I had an epiphany throughout the weekend when I'm hearing of all this Patrick Vieira things leaving. And Patrick Vieira is a fantastic coach, right? And gives you amazing soccer. He's done a fantastic job from 2016 till now. I believe it was 39 wins, which is the most from that time to now. And most points. I mean, just a fantastic guy. And then you look at his accomplishments, and he didn't win anything. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. And you have this guy in Brian Smetzer who the players will play for, who took on a hot potato at the end of a season that looked lost. He brings him back. These players play for him. And now he's giving you a title, a subtitle, or a final. You won the Western Conference Championship, and now you're having a hard season. And all of a sudden, he's not the guy. I mean, I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I think that's the worst call of all the calls.
Yeah,
if the coach is not the problem. Also, he's got Gonzalo Pineda working the bench with him, who's amazing.
Amazing.
Like, that dude was coaching 10 years ago, basically, on the field. Like, that's sort of a no-brainer. Yeah, I don't think Schmetzer has been the problem at any point in this equation.
Yeah.
He's working with
I think he's made several significant errors in the game.
You can make a sub, games? But making a sub mistake is not the same as that he's responsible for the team being where they are this season. They're not the same thing. Like subbing in Nagel that last time, that was a horrible substitution.
Starting Alex Roldan most of this season,
but Alex
costing themselves points because they believe in the guy that trains hard but doesn't actually play well.
Alex Roldan is a guy that provides.
He's not better than Harry Shipp.
It depends.
Not better than Magnus Wolf-Eichram.
It depends on what you're looking at, though.
He tries harder.
He's a player.
Those guys. Harry Shipp had a 7-goal, 7-assist season. Alex Roldan will never do that.
If I had a scale of 1 to 10 to give points,
I want the guy that can score.
To give points to fault of why the team is where it is, 6 of them go to Garth and 4 of them go to Brian.
I would not argue that,
and it's not close.
I would not argue that.
I'm being polite.
It's more Garth than Brian, but
for sure.
Earlier, the statement was it's not Brian's fault at all, and unfortunately, I think it's everybody's fault.
I think if this team was undergunned and had Schmetzer,
again, I'm not disputing
this season. I don't think it's on
I'm not
Schmetzer.
disputing that it is more Garth than Brian. The statement that I had disputed was that it's not Brian at all.
And I don't think
it's not Brian Schmetzer's fault. I think
Magnus Akram has showed you some things, but he's not a guy that you're going to be able to rely on doing everything. That Roldan will give you defensive
Alex
pressure.
Roldan will?
Yes, Alex Roldan will give you defensive pressure and energy that Magnus won't. And when you have a team that at times has
how good's this defense?
This
pretty
defense
good.
Has been pretty good, right? But defense doesn't start.
How good's this offense?
Not great.
Okay, so tripling down on defense so that we can get a 0-0 draw in a best-case scenario might not be the best way to earn points right now.
But see, when you catch the ball in the middle of the field, you have a better chance to counter, and you try to create...
Until Saturday.
Only forward's Clint Dempsey.
Until Saturday, I got to tell you, I'd rather play that fucking 5 back.
I did like
just draw the way out of the season.
The 5-4-1 was great.
They weren't scoring.
Magnus Wolf-Eichram
10 games.
started both of those.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 5-4-1 was great.
Surprisingly.
Look,
I just don't see enough out of Wolf-Eichram to tell me that he would have changed this team's in the standing.
Oh, I'm talking
as in one player.
3-4 points. Like it's the difference between
really
one of those 1-0 losses that they had 5 of. Probably gets to become a draw. One of the draws becomes a win, and all of a sudden you got 4 more points. And at 4 more points right now, the path to the playoffs looks really good.
We're going to have to agree to this here because that Kansas City game, Alex Roldan played one hell of a game. He had a great assist in that game. And, I mean, I think he's done that in several games, that he's been able to be your most positive passer a couple of times. And the things he does defensively are important. I mean,
I like Alex Roldan in the future as a number 8, and I don't want to see him as a winger. I don't
I
think he
could agree
brings
with that.
enough in the attack.
I could agree
And
with that.
I think
Yeah.
right now this team needs a lot in the attack, which is part of what we saw Saturday when we saw Victor Rodriguez in the attack.
Finally.
But if Victor and Nico are here, then Magnus becomes just a bench player, right? I mean, so injuries becomes the number one reason
You drop
why.
Nico down to number 8, and you start all of them across the band of 3 when Magnus Wolf Ikram has a full match to be healthy, rather than Harry Shit.
But what about when Ozzy's healthy? So we're talking about a whole healthy roster. You have Ozzy and Roldan, which is your best duo right there, and then you have your band of 3 with Nico, Victor, and Dempsey, and Rowan up top. So that's what.
When everyone is healthy will happen when they're all retired. Like at this point, we shouldn't make plans on what to do when everyone's healthy. There is not going to be a game.
It's a valid point.
When everyone's healthy.
It's a valid point.
So, with the players that are available, particularly when we were struggling to score, and I don't think we're going to do that as much now that Nico Ladero is healthy.
Thank God. Thank God.
Victor,
Thank you, baby
hopefully
Jesus.
stays.
Gracias
And
a Dios.
Victor is on the field.
Gracias.
And notice the second goal was when Magnus Wolf Ikram
Porque
was
qué
on the field and
vergüenza.
scored with his head.
So,
So I think
can
there were
we
some
talk
mistakes.
about?
But I like it. No, I like it.
Can we talk about the win?
Yeah, no, I like it. No, but this is good. This is good.
But it is good. You know what?
I like it.
It is. It is because
whenever you're ready.
People are gonna
we're going to
like
go
me
through the
because
goals here
It don't
for a
matter.
sec.
I think you're bringing out viewpoints that make sense.
And
I
who
totally
a lot of
pick up
people
what you're
believe
saying.
that.
Yeah,
You're
a
not
lot.
alone. You're definitely not alone.
We're
But
missing
look at my
goals.
mentions. I mean, yeah, you're not alone. And I tell people, man, I don't need no burner accounts. I'm a Garth guy. I'm a Brian guy. Come at me.
I don't need no
I mean,
burner accounts.
I'm a Brian guy. Let's like
Oh, no, I'm just saying that.
Let's
I don't
not
think
doubt
that
that at
anybody's
all.
saying you're not. I just feel like, frankly, Clint Dempsey's made more mistakes than Brian Schmetzer has this season.
yeah. And again, I think it was last week's game.
He's not the issue.
Yeah, last week's game was the one where I said.
But
that
he's also he's the one bearing the brunt of the pressure of being given a team and the pile of injuries and working with what he's got. And you make your calls,
and
and,
he
you
might
win
have
some, you lose
fitness
some.
information that I don't have.
Yeah, there's a million factors and decisions
Yeah.
and things that he's working through.
At the end of the day,
Right.
we got 3 points Saturday.
Right.
There you go. Let's talk about that.
They look the best that they've looked all year long.
That rolled on ball to Wolf Ikram
So good.
was
So good.
like video game sick.
It was almost as good as Wolves to what's his name in the Toronto to Bruin. That one was the best.
Yeah,
Just amazing.
Very
Like,
nice.
Yeah.
let alone the fact that it's the go-ahead. Like,
Yeah.
just a crazy ball. And there were a couple of people tweeting about it. I can't remember who, but that his service was better than Leerdam, who unfortunately went out with injury.
But then he make that. Who made that long throw in before the
He
first
did.
goal? Leerdam, right?
Leerdam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was clutch, dude.
And,
I was
mean,
wondering because they showed him. They showed him backing up, like they closed up on him, and he was getting a lot of space. I was like, dude, is this guy trying to put it in the box? I mean, in the goal from here? And sure enough, man, it was clutch. And man,
I remember last year when they added him. We saw that a few times. And it
Dude,
was like,
the second throw the guy took for the Sounders, we had the ECS section doing the whoa. The second throw. Like, people are like, I don't even know who this guy
And he
is.
scored on that.
And the first throw, you're like, what was that,
Yeah.
Brad Evans?
That was
Where did you
that
come
was
from?
right before, right after we signed them, we had that fan appreciation event, and I remember there was nobody in his line, like
Yeah.
nobody knew who he was, and I was with Penny. I was like, oh, we gotta get it.
Gonna go talk to that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that throwing was clutch, man.
That was nuts. But for Ladero to come in and have the game he did and have
And the
frankly,
golazo, dude,
the quick
golazo.
turn on the goal.
Oh.
I would say if they hadn't scored in that proximity of time, you just don't know where that game goes. Like, for them to come back and score that quickly had to have just added to the momentum for them for the rest of the match.
And I gotta apologize.
What?
I gotta
Está bien,
apologize.
Nico, está bien.
I have to apologize, man, because there was a guy who, when brought in, I had zero faith in. I thought it was a bad decision, and he has been
Liram?
quite outstanding.
Liram?
Nope, Kim Hee. He has
Holy
been
shit.
very, very good. He's agile, knows where he's at, comes up good with the ball, pushes up high whenever he has to. takes the right risks at times. So I've been quite pleased, and I'm one of those guys that I put stuff out there because that's what I think, and when I'm wrong, then that's when I'm wrong. And he's been very, very good, and having him has been a huge asset with Roman being out and the issues we've had with injuries. So, yeah, great.
I actually feel like he will definitely factor in to the rumors about Torres going somewhere. And not that Atlas is going to buy yet another center back right now, but I
think they made their purchase.
They did. But I could totally see if he has a...
Who they pick up?
They picked up, what's his name?
Omar Gonzalez, the Pride of Panama.
Oh.
I'm just going to let that go and move on. But if
good stuff.
He has a good World Cup, you could totally see that happening now. Because if you're Sounders, you're like, well, I'll just pay Chad Marshall and Kim, and
they did pay him.
We'll just roll with
Kim's
this.
getting like $500,000, man.
Yeah, Kim's
looks
well
good.
Paid. And I will say, he's growing on me. I'm not as excited about him overall as Nico, but he has improved the last couple months. For some reason, I just...
And the thing for me is because I had his bar so low. I mean, my bar was low.
Man, mine was high because of the
now,
money.
Seeing him play, I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. Especially for a guy in props to Brian. I mean, to Chris Henderson.
He's played better.
Yeah.
Well, until the last couple months, maybe, but not the beginning of the year. I think he wasn't playing as good as Torres.
Because this is a guy who got cut from his team in China. And so I thought that, we're getting...
I mean, Chinese teams just cut Obafemi Martins. Like, they don't make rational decisions.
They're cutting salary like it's a thing right now.
The new shiny thing, and so they only have the 3 international spots, so they cut guys despite the fact that they play well.
Yeah, and I think it is about one of these things where he's getting acclimated, right? He's coming internationally. He's getting used to the systems here. He's used to new country, language, coaching system. Though soccer is this language of its own, those things factor in. I think.
Yeah,
give him a couple months, and now he's playing a lot. At least the last month, he's played way better.
He also wasn't, because he wasn't here for all the training, and it was during their off season, so he had fitness issues coming early, and then he got injured early. So that's why we only saw him as a sub for his first couple of appearances, was because he was injured, didn't know the team's tactical makeup and all that.
Yeah.
And he likes to range forward, which by design.
There was a good moment there of him up the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's an organizational thing. S2 center backs do it as well. Sometimes Torres goes forward when they wish that he wouldn't.
But that's Torres, yeah.
On the other hand, like, the rest of these guys are supposed to, except for Chad.
Good doing it.
Chad to go forward.
So I'm probably okay with it.
Let's go
Yeah. And what I think is interesting about him is if you look at either Sound at Heart comments or Reddit or just random tweets, even the kind of casual, non-hardcore commenter people, he's the player a lot of them would say have been like, is their player of the match? Pretty frequently, which is interesting because not everybody has that like ability. Maybe it's because the Sounders aren't scoring goals and they're looking at the game a little more differently than they would otherwise. But people have identified when he's had a good game, even when the Sounders have lost.
He and Ladero,
that, which is pretty cool.
Both were kind of neck and neck for highest marks the last time I checked on the Sounder at Heart ratings.
Yeah, add them all
player
up.
ratings that we do. And it was kind of an even split between those two. I'm not surprised. I mean, Ladero had a goal and like 100 and some passes. So I'm not surprised that he will probably win it. But Kim Keehee was second and by far. I think it was 105.
That's a lot better than the 42 our goalkeeper had the other night.
To lead the team.
That is horrifying.
Scary.
Somebody had 10. Who was it that had 10 the other night? That was just like, what?
Yeah. So Sounders victory. Not only did we have victory hot dogs, but it was
Victory Burgers.
we pivoted to victory burgers. No, but we had a good night Saturday night. People left the park feeling pretty good.
People left
Came
the bar
in-
feeling even better.
they definitely felt better after the bar. Well, most of them. There were a couple that did not. But then Sunday, Sounders 2, victory in Tacoma, also coming from behind, 2-1 as well, right? So
eight different weather patterns
per minute.
per minute.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I made that comment on the air that I said if it hails or snows, we'll have had all 4 seasons within the first half.
That was wild.
Yeah. You had those nice, like, sun showers of spring. You had driving rain and wind at one point.
Yeah. Like, what is going on?
And then it was clear and sunny and 70.
Good weekend overall. Came away feeling a lot better than I think we all did on Wednesday, Thursday last week. I'm not in love with a trip to New Jersey right now. Harrison.
No. But at least we're not Colorado.
I'm actually
You're
looking
not.
forward to a bye. Dude, like the 10 days after
chilling.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, now that I feel good about it, get that rest. Like when we had those, like 4 buys in the early season.
Every other week.
Yes.
Hey, let's
thought
clear
about
every other
playing.
week because we have the CONCACAF Champions League, and then
Psych.
well, that was over a little earlier than
That was
desired.
kind of how the schedule was. It was like, oh,
It was with
1-0
intent.
loss.
It was with
Psych.
intent.
Walk away.
Yeah.
Start over.
Stew on it.
Yeah.
Repeat.
Now, I want it because, God willing, Ozzy Alonso will be fully functional
Yeah.
Take the
after that
momentum and
10-day
run.
break kind of thing.
Agreed.
Wolf Eikram will be fully like, we should get to that point where I remember writing something pre-season. I did the math. Jeremiah actually wrote it, but we did the math, and there will be a TAM player on the bench. The bench, quite possibly, this year there will be a game. Even if all the current DPs start, there will be a game where the 7 on the bench are worth as much as the starting lineup that beat the Red Bulls in 2009.
Wow. I like that.
Because like a Will Bruin could be on the bench, Harry Shipp could be on the bench, one of Wolf and Victor will be on the bench. Francis makes $300,000 and could be on the bench.
Yeah. 275. Yeah.
Gustav could be on the bench at his $850
$850?
or $350. $350.
Oh.
He's $350 from here.
Yeah,
Plus
I was gonna say,
China's
damn.
another $850. Like he makes like 1.2. He's a TAM player for all intents and purposes. Like if he was Rod Dollard, he'd be a TAM.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a point where the bench is a multi-million-dollar bench, and that's basically what all the 7 forms of allocation money, 3 designated players, the homegrown player fund, all that kind of stuff has meant massive funds. You know what?
The league is growing.
In your recap, you skipped Thursday morning's news and what inspired us to invite Nico Marino down here tonight.
That's where we were going to go next.
Oh, cool.
We should just do what we usually do, which is I
Yeah.
think something, we talk about it, and then someone else brings it up. This is perfect. Keep going, Dave. Dave, you got this.
So when we were very depressed on
Uber
Wednesday
depressed.
night about the loss,
Not only were we uber depressed, we were probably in an Uber being depressed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Telling Mark not to tweet.
I just remember
tweet.
Nico's like,
God.
okay, my Sounders Twitter is burning. I'm going to sleep. And then Dave is like, wait,
Thursday
no,
morning.
No.
Nico got the story to us. The breaking news. The
I just have the SonarFeed read tweets.
Yes.
Seattle Sounders were pursuing
Which is amazing.
2-time 20-goal scorer Liga MX forward, Peru forward Morelia Monacos,
La Pulga.
La Pulga. The tick.
the Flea.
Flea. Flea tick.
Flea and tick.
Whoa.
I'm not really sure which one it
I'm gonna go with
is.
Flea.
Let's
I'm
just
gonna go with
spend the
Flea.
rest of the show discussing that.
Flea. I'm voting Flea.
Okay, Flea. Flea's good. Thank you.
The Seattle Sounders were aggressively pursuing it. I think that's where we started. Some people thought that the organization... I just want to counter this. There are people out there that think that the organization planted that rumor after the loss. And I'm just going to say, one, they didn't. And two, the reason I know this is because I'm Nico's editor. And
I've
he'd been working on it
this.
for a few days. And he goes, I think I'm getting close to having enough. And so we waited because we knew that he was going to have some
I did
quality
message
nugget.
you. Not that I thought that, but that was definitely a rumor. And I was like, what's the deal with this? And Dave's like, nope, it's not new because I know how long Nico's been working on this.
Yeah, and actually it was before that. I mean, it had been a week when he kind of came up on my radar because the Mexican draft was going to happen, and I had a contact down in Mexico give me a call and said, hey, I think this is what's going on. And then maybe 4 days later, I get another call. So he started coming up on my list a little bit more. And then one time I just text Dave like, oh, this guy just came into my list hard. Something is going to happen. So little by little, start working, making some phone calls. And it was kind of time consuming. And maybe 2 days later, I give him a call. And I'm like, I think I got it.
That's awesome.
It was he's a great. I mean, for all you Seattle fans, man, this guy is amazing. Like they said, he scored 20 goals every year for the last 6 years with 3 different teams. And it's incredible. He averages the highest rate of minutes per goal in Peru. He's not a starter because
With the Peruvian national team.
But we should have exactly with the Peruvian national team because Guerrero is the number 1 guy there, which of course is a legendary guy. But that doesn't knock him at all. He's just not the guy at this time, but he's the future of Peru. So you're getting a guy who's
Peruvian Messi.
Absolutely Peruvian Messi. Some call him America Scorer. He has so many nicknames of his ability to score from different ways. He's a physical guy, can create for himself, good mid-range shot, can hit the ball from any angle, come in any single way. Just YouTube the guy. He is great.
Plus, he makes Nico look tall.
Plus, he makes me. Oh, the other Nico or me?
You.
Yes,
He's
both
5'6".
of us. Both Nicos
He's
look
not
tall.
5'6".
It's great.
Probably like 5'5".
And that low
5'4".
center of gravity makes him really hard to be dispossessed from the ball. It's great.
Yeah, you're not going to get a target forward guy out of him. Like, he'll win headers once in a while, kind of like João Plata does. But
Let's not talk about that ever again.
he is going to play the single forward like speedy Jordan Morris did, basically. He's going to open it up because there's going to be through balls and he's going to run onto him. That's going to be the primary way that he opens up space for the midfield because he's going to run a lot. Jordan has a little bit... Jordan will have better hold-up play than this guy, but that's okay because there's more than one way to play as a single forward. We've seen it. I mean, Dom Dwyer isn't tall. Dom Dwyer has, like, no hold-up game. He falls over whenever he's breathed on. But you can... I'm upsetting the audience with saying Dom Dwyer. So, but I mean, that's a way to think about it when you want to know the difference between, like, the two general ways to play as that single forward. One of them's a guy like David Villa.
I like to compare him to Jose Martinez. He's going to be that type of 9. And it's great when you compare with a guy who...
That guy's terrible.
Jose Martinez?
I was joking.
The
Oh,
hat-trick
good.
leader in
Yeah.
MLS
He-
history.
Doesn't he have... Yeah.
He's crazy.
He's been here a year and a half, and he's the hat-trick leader.
Like, doesn't he have 58% of the goal of the week votes right
Yes,
now?
exactly.
Well, part of it's because...
Atlanta.
Remember when in like 2009 and 2010, Seattle fans made certain that we won every online
Yes.
poll, and then we just got bored with it? Atlanta's still at the we're going to stuff every single ballot because it's fun. And they're like twice the attendance of the number 3 team. They still got an edge on Seattle, but it's not like last year's edge. They're just kind of there. Sorry, ballot stuffing aside.
I'm hyped, dude, though, for La Pulga, man. That's exactly what we need. That's a big move, big player. Morelia, man, 20 goals with them. That's no joke, man.
Those details coming out today. $7.5 million is expected to be the transfer fee. To put that in perspective, it's going to be either the 6th or 7th largest transfer fee in MLS history.
Yeah, exactly. And we still want to confirm those numbers. That article came up kind of funny just because they talked about him getting announced today, and I knew for a fact it was not going to be announced today. So hopefully we'll get those numbers.
Even in Mexico?
Even in Mexico. No. I knew it, and I made some calls, and sort of was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But I haven't got a green light to say anything else. But What I will say is that I appreciate Jeremiah and Dave, because I could have put this story out a couple of days before without a name, without confirming it, but I wanted to give everybody like the right way of confirming it with my stamp on it, and that was through various contacts in Peru, finally getting a hold of his agent and confirming it immediately. Sandra Hart was the only story that had his name on it to stamp it on. Yeah. So that is props to them because they didn't rush it.
Gold.com did beat us by like 8 minutes or something like that with the overall story. And what's interesting is because I know Nico's sources, and I know Eve's Gold. I
always go with Ives.
Yeah, I know his, and I know what his sources are more likely to be, and so it's interesting that those came from people who probably use quite different sources.
Yeah,
and got the similar information. Although Nico had the agent.
Boom, let's go.
So. We got a question from Eric in the chat asking about
Hot Toddy.
Raul's game and how he pairs with Jordan Morris if they're both out on their field together. Like what you think that might look like.
I've started to think of this, and what's interesting is Rui Diaz. Am I saying it right?
Rui Diaz, yeah.
Okay.
Rudy.
Uh,
That was my question.
I think he and Morris are kind of similar in that both can be a winger or a forward. So you can play them as a 2-forward set, or you can play one wide and the other up top, and they can switch a lot. And one of the things that's been fun about the Seattle Sounders over years is when they have those similar guys. You know, we used to have it with Clint when he was the center, and then he and Oba would flip-flop sometimes because they had similar skill sets. Or right now, the band of 3, when it's all healthy, the 5 most common guys for that band of 3 are all basically central wingers. They're not actually central attacking midfielders. Whether it's Clint Dempsey, Victor Rodriguez, Nico Ladero, Magnus Wolf-Eikram, Harry Shipp, they're guys that are kind of central but not dead center, but they don't play wide. And so they can all kind of move around in that.
Yeah.
Left, center, middle doesn't really matter. They're going to move around a lot. And that leaves a lot of fun and funky things that can happen tactically during build-up.
Drop back kind of slightly outside Morris has actually worked out pretty well. Even if he's not scoring, he has changed what the defense does. If you just kind of focus on defense, not even scoring in the moment, but like you can see how he either draws players or just changes the way the Sounders are able to shift and attack, especially when Ladero and others are out there on the field with him. And so healthy Morris and someone like this, I think, is a very different
and they
place.
can flex into, if they're playing 4-2-3-1 and it's Nico Ladero as the 8 and Jordan Morris is on the wing, that's really easy to flex that into a 4-4-2 with Rui Diaz and Morris up top. That's right. And then, when Morris has somebody up top next to him, we saw a little bit of that when he and Will Bruin.
Yeah.
I saw a shit ton of it, pardon my language, with he and David Olson in the academy.
We're on the internet, it's okay.
I mean, we do still have net neutrality, so we're allowed to curse in Washington, so it's okay. We think.
There are fun things that Jordan does have a drop back pass. He has some interesting passes that he hasn't really not needed to use, but hasn't been able to use with the Sounders because there's nobody in the box with him so often.
All I know is that I'm going to enjoy having a player that you get up on your tippy toes when the ball gets to him. Like, anything can happen, and this is the type of player that he is.
Absolutely.
Like, oh my God, I got to make sure I watch because I could miss something. We haven't had that type of player or that feeling.
Well,
I mean,
Clint's been that type of player.
Yeah, but that feeling's kind of fallen. Nico, I had that feeling the first year.
With him.
Yeah, and though he is doing it, that's not his forte. His forte is setting up other players and Morris, when he was healthy the first year, yeah, he was. But I haven't had. At least I haven't.
And I don't think we've had a player that has that goal scorer stamp since Freddie Montero. I mean, we haven't had
Oba.
And Eddie Johnson, Oba. Dang it, you're right. Anyway,
That Obafemi Martins guy, he was okay.
It's been a while, but those are the guys that you think of that you're like, they're going to score. They're going to score.
Yeah, like every time you get up, you're like, oh shit. oh shit. You know, it's
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
So I had to look it up. If it's 7.5 million, the transfer fee, that'll beat out Giovanni Dos Santos. 7 million.
That guy's okay.
He's all right. I mean, he's having a really off year, dude.
Well, he's having an off second year, but 3 years ago he was extraordinary, and I
Call.
voted him best
Yep,
11
good call.
in the league
Yeah.
because he had like 20 goals and 11 assists, something
Yeah.
or 19, something like that. He had a best 11 performance in his first year in the league. The seventh largest transfer fee was paid by a very cheap organization not known for spending money, the Seattle Sounders, Nico Ladero.
Nico.
Hey.
Number 8, Carlos Vela.
Oh yeah.
Carlos Vela?
Yeah.
Vela.
He's great.
He needs to do
Robbie
some.
Keane.
He needs to do some this Sunday.
That
I want
guy.
To score.
You like these names? We don't get to a garbage name until tied for 10th, Lucas Milano.
Who's that?
They had to loan him out.
He's in South America, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. He's probably as good as like
I'm
the
still
fake
saying
wannabe
when
Chucky.
Vela
He's on
retires,
full season loan.
if the front of some newspaper doesn't say like candle goes out,
No, not
Mexican newspapers have failed
man.
at publishing.
Hasta la
I've never
Vela,
thought
baby.
about that, which is great. That is awesome.
I'm actually an asshole.
When
But
he leaves LAFC,
also, that would work. Except
hasta la Vela, baby.
LA
Oh,
might
God.
get that actually.
Yeah,
He needs
they
to
would.
score on
Other
Sunday.
cities in the
He needs
USA,
to
I don't
score
know,
on
would
Sunday.
nail that. LA might get that right.
Can you patent that for yourselves? You get some money out of it?
I mean, I could buy the domain name right now, $9.
It's important to act on those kinds of phrases.
Dude,
I
it is.
agree.
Anyway, so again, nothing's official as is being talked about here. Oh, there's Mickey's comment, not official. Like
Still not
your
official.
confidence level. I mean, rumors are rumors, and nothing's done till they're
It's
done.
not a rumor.
but-
I mean, it's happening. As in, is Nico gives you his stamp of guaranteed, and I would give you a 98% chance of this going through. Me.
do you think we know? Do we think we know before the window?
And Nico, yo
I'm
creo.
trying to find out. I am working hard. I just we all have sources, and I got to make sure that I
you
go
can
by
say
my
no.
sources. But it could happen. It could happen within the week. It could happen within the week.
I think it happens before Peru's first World Cup game.
How many rumor articles does SoundersFC.com post about this before it happens? Over under.
3.
Over
Zero.
under 3.
0. I
So
go 0.
MLS posted an
MLS, on
article.
the other hand,
But
but
Sounders are notorious for this shit.
they haven't done it in about 2 years. They had a
they
manager.
did because they did all of them for Jordan Morris.
Not
Yeah,
since
that
I've
was
been doing
2.5
it.
years ago, and they had a different person in charge of digital then.
Actually, the Sounders just started following me
Their
like a
current
week
digital
ago,
didn't.
which is awesome. Thank you guys. It was about time.
Yeah, James Riley just followed me today,
Sweet.
and
And how far away do you sit from James Riley on game
This
days?
close.
Oh, yeah.
That's because he has observed your Twitter content before and
It's
then
bad.
just realized that it wasn't something he wanted to be a part of.
I can relate.
My follow count fluctuates greatly based off of
Fluctuates.
what mood I'm in.
How about Mark's?
How about El Tigre?
It shrinks.
Down!
Formerly El Tigre.
When
lost like 2 followers.
when your guest throws out the bombshell. How are you doing? How's your Twitter follower count going this week?
Celebrate. Mark, I will
I've
say
actually-
that when,
I'm just going to
Some
summarize
Sounder
Mark's,
Heart people were-
Mark's last week of Twitter.
Sounder Art staff was bitching about Mark's Twitter, and I said, you know what the easiest thing for you to do is? Unfollow Mark.
Unfollow Mark.
Like, if all you're going to do is complain about somebody, just unfollow him. It's that simple.
Unfollowmark.org.
You aren't forced to see somebody else's tweets.
Whoa!
My
What
thought.
do you mean?
I've got a gif of Mark's tweets.
Oh my god, those are Mark's.
You made a gif of his worst tweets?
Oh God,
Oh, yeah.
Oh my!
that is awesome. That is.
Oh, I
awesome.
remember when he sent that one to Mike Leach.
Oh gosh.
Shout out to Trump supporter.
Hey,
What's
very
that?
nice.
Text it to me. I'll put it on the...
I can't see even with my new glasses.
We will
You
definitely
need an update on
read
that. But
Hey,
Wow.
particularly because Mickey's here, because I have a question about something that he wrote today.
I'm calling it on my 60th minute. I'm subbing out.
So close.
You got sub out?
Yeah, I'm gonna sub out.
Hey, those are
Come on in, man.
that's our
Topical.
new pivot.
Topical.
Sonar burgers. Yeah. Get
Pivot.
them while they're hot.
Pivot to legal.
Wait,
We are pivoting to legal right now.
I'm gonna I gotta put Mickey's name on, but I'm probably
So
gonna
yes,
spell it wrong.
Fuck it up.
This is easy to drink.
It's Turner ESQ, yeah.
That's pretty low. It's like
can't do it. Can't do hot water right now.
Which is nice though, 'cause you can have like 8.
Okay, I like it.
Hold please, well.
Please hold.
Something.
You guys know we're live on the internet, right?
Hello, Turner ESQ.
Mickey Turner.
Yeah, whiskey, honey, something along those lines.
Figures out what drink to order.
It's a sub, dude.
Wait, so I need to stall for a little bit while you guys. So there's still the opportunity for the Seattle Sounders to add one more kind of mid to high-ish targeted allocation money player.
I'm hearing mid-low, and I'm working
You're
on that,
hearing mid-low?
guys.
Okay.
I am working on that. It's mid-low, and we'll see if it happens. I'm wondering what. I'm wondering how they're going to make it happen. I mean, and Dave probably knows a lot more than I do on this. It's just
Well,
that
we disagree on the number.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard from a good source that said that he told me low TAM. So we'll see, but I don't know where it's going to come from.
Some of that might be because they're wanting to bank for TAM for next season. Personally, because some of the TAM has a 2-year gap rather than a 1-year gap.
Am I getting
Is it about to go up on the?
Ugo is in the chat as Mickey right now. So let's talk for a second about attack vectors. So today in Singapore, some company was giving out USB fans.
No, that
to
was North
random
Korea
people.
that was doing it.
What?
It was the government of North Korea that was getting
Would actually give
USB
them
powered.
whatever USB powered fans
Seems legit.
to random journalists and other people who were around in Singapore. It's actually, I don't know if it's worse that it was from the government or better.
Well,
It might be better because they
it
can
depends
just
how
fuck
you're
it up.
using better or worse.
It depends how good you are at your hacking. So attack vector number 1, that.
They're
attack vector number 2.
It's North Korea. They're extraordinarily good at hacking.
You
Remember
just
Sony?
left your iPad open
Yes.
after
Jerry
getting
grabbed-
up in a bar.
I'm supervising. Yes. It's okay.
Wait, Jerry is supervising?
Yes.
That just surpassed the North Korea attack vector right there. Jerry is supervising.
Okay, I'm a government-ish employee.
Government-ish.
You should not tell people that.
Okay. You're like,
Anyway, so Mr. Turner,
trust Hugo.
thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Are we having a Austin Columbus update?
Yeah, sure, we can do that real quickly. I guess I'll start with the MLS filed their appeal brief. For those who haven't been following, they got kind of reamed by the lower court judge, ordering them to do a bunch of stuff. Jerry, grab the iPad, please. And
No. He just Adam just used Brendan Vaughn's least favorite font of all time, which if you've ever seen a sandwich board for a church, papyrus, it's on there.
Oh, jeez.
And he spelled Brendan's name wrong, which makes it better.
And I also accidentally spelled butt the first time.
yeah. So I have a question about this brief because I was following
All
on
right,
Twitter.
so let's move on.
Yeah. Columbus Crew and MLS got a ruling they didn't like from the judge, ordering them to do a bunch of stuff, hand over discovery, tolling the 90-day waiting or the 6-month waiting period for 90 days.
Can you explain tolling?
Timeout?
Okay.
Basically, it's the timeout for 90 days. And MLS and Columbus were not happy about that, so they filed an appeal of that order. The city and the state of Ohio then filed a motion to dismiss, basically saying there's no reason for you to file this because you don't know what you're talking about.
There's always a motion.
Yeah.
Everybody, you should always file a motion to
Yeah, it
dismiss.
happens like 99% of the time. Well, maybe not that much, but anyway. So we're waiting for that motion to dismiss of the appeal. If the city and the state win and the motion is dismissed, then it goes back to the lower court, and pre-court and MLS have to comply with the order, which means they have to start turning over financial information, which means that they have to start complying with the judge with regard to finding out if there's a local buyer who will purchase the crew. basically they have to do a bunch of stuff that they don't want to do. And so that motion to dismiss, I'm hearing, is supposed to be ruled on this week. And my guess is that it will. Pre-court and MLS will lose, and probably quite embarrassingly, because I'm not a fan of what they've filed.
Because one of the
No, I have a non-serious question to ask.
one of the things in that filing, they kind of admitted that they were just going to move the team somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, as if that was to defend that. Like, Columbus is not objecting to them moving the team to Austin. Columbus is objecting to the entire concept that they would move the team without selling to a local buyer, without offering
to sell,
a local buyer at a market rate.
Yeah, I mean, some of that stuff is up for interpretation because the statute doesn't say, here's what you have to offer the team to a local buyer. Purchase price plus 10% or something along those lines. None of that stuff was ever included in the statute.
But there was that funky line that said we're moving, and like
Yes. So, and one of the things that's annoyed me this entire time is that MLS and the Columbus crew and Precourt have never said when they are going to move. I still am of the position they have yet to say we are not playing in Columbus for the 2019 season. We're not.
Which is sort of the statement that like marks the
That
moment,
is what
right?
is required under the statute. Now they think it's unconstitutional for a whole bunch of other reasons, but just assuming that it's a valid statute.
But like Ohio Constitution or like Constitution in the U.S. that none of us
both.
are paying attention to right now?
Both.
Okay.
There's a bunch of federal claims, like I'm not even going to get into them, but just suffice it to say, there's.
What does Jeff Sessions have to say?
No. If you wanted to get into them in detail, just remind everybody
Drugs are
where
bad. Okay.
Yeah, you can check out my website, socceresq.com. It's easy
it's.
to find.
Check it out for the days that I'm too stupid to not just link it in Major League Soccer. I try to do that
I do
every
appreciate
time
that.
because I'm a very passionate antagonist to
What was
UFC
the
Pre-Court.
URL again?
Soccer ESQ, as in Esquire.
Yes.
When you forget to add that, would you say that you're worse than?
Yes, that's when I'm worse than. Versed then, though. Kind of like
I can't even ask my question now.
Germany.
That was so far below my really, really shitty question. Jesus.
semi-related to the crew lawsuit stuff is the FC Cincinnati fans, a couple dozen of them, went up to Crew Stadium in support of Save the Crew.
That's cool.
Because Cincinnati really wants that immediate, amazing rivalry, like 105 miles apart, one major highway.
You mean actual rivalry as opposed to the Trillium Cup?
Yes.
I've got a lot
Toronto
of
may
thoughts
be
about
left
the
out in the
Trillium
cold.
Cup.
Toronto will go, we're super okay with that.
I mean, you say that it's not a rivalry, but how many Seattle Sounders fans have been kicked out of the stadium for life because they went and peed all over the glass house down there in Portland?
Do you want me to answer this honestly?
It's about a dozen TFC fans that dropped their pants and pissed all over Crew Stadium.
If you had been in one of those bathrooms, though, they're popping yellow smoke. You can't go in there. Of course people are just urinating forever.
What killed the Trillium Cup rivalry was not that it was contrived and called the Trillium Cup. What killed the rivalry is that a couple supporter group leaders were banned for life from the stadium, and so they're just like, well, fuck it, let's just not go anymore. And when fans have that attitude towards a rivalry, it dies. Like, if you don't care enough to go. So they only get a couple hundred, because at one point they had 3,000 people go from Toronto to Columbus in buses. And that's like 3 times the Seattle-Portland distance. 3,000 people. That's a rivalry.
And it's in Ohio. Why would you?
Well, they went from
why
Toronto
would
where
you-
there's stuff to do. But they drove through a lot of land where there's not stuff to do.
at all. Like the
Buffalo.
highlights.
I've never been to the area.
Yeah, like if there's
Me neither.
Buffalo somewhere,
And
I'm
Cleveland.
super good with the road trip.
No. Buffalo, New York. They drove
Oh no,
through.
I'm not good with that either. Although I did that last trip to Toronto, which seems to be a trend right now. But
Cool.
cool.
But again, so just to finish up the last, they filed a brief today, and as Dave said, they have not, to my in my opinion, they have not ever said we are not going to play in Columbus in 2019. There's reasons why they've done that. One of which is it would be a massive PR hit to announce that we're relocating the team, and they don't have a deal with Austin, so they don't have anywhere to go at the moment. But that doesn't make their legal argument any better when their statute says you must tell us that you're not going to play games at the stadium anymore and give us 6 months to come up with a local buyer if there is one.
I have a trivia question. Where does Anthony Precourt's money come from? And I don't mean his dad, but Industries. Who knows the answer?
The Canary Islands.
The U.S. Mail.
I'm kidding. I don't know.
Some
I'm
people
just
have
kidding, guys.
referred to him as a Silicon Valley Trust Fund baby.
Yes, they absolutely do.
And I don't know who. If any of you have watched MLS Rewind on ESPN Plus, subscribe to ESPN Plus so you can listen to S2 home games and me.
I have to tell you,
hey.
it's actually been worth it so far.
Oh yeah,
ESPN
$5.
Plus.
I didn't think it was going to be because of, like, when you read it on paper, you're like, this seems dumb. And then you use it and just bang around on it for a while. There's some interesting shit.
They could fix their replay controls and some other stuff like that. But
How much?
$5 a month or
That's not bad.
$50 for a year?
Boxing, a bunch of other.
Like MLS Live was $60, and this
You're
is
replacing
more than
all
that.
of MLS Live, all of the USL games that you want to watch, plus a ton of college sports, plus rugby,
And the English Championship. If you
some
wanna
lower
go
I'm
division
in.
English
Yeah.
stuff, some like the college, like
Are the Richmond Spiders on it?
yes. I don't
hope
think so.
Rich.
Is that minor league baseball?
that is one of the best
I've
colleges in the country.
Is that where you went?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
If the Richmond Spiders were on it, turns it around. Okay.
Very nice. Very
The
nice.
sports that would be on it would be non-revenue
Yeah.
college sports. So, like, if you want to watch college lacrosse, baseball, women's hoops,
I have to do that.
swimming. Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that UW or the Pac-12 used to just put on the web is now on ESPN Plus.
Good
So
stuff.
to roll all the way back, ESPN Plus is also hosting MLS Rewind, which is basically like a 30-minute Taylor Twellman recaps the league's action.
Oh, sorry.
That's me.
That's
I'm just
pretty-
making sure that
that wasn't too bad
nothing's
lag
going
right
on.
there.
Yeah.
But
So on that, at one point, and why we got there while Mickey is talking to us is because he said he has heard that in 2019 the Columbus Crew will be in Sacramento.
Oh, that was from Twellman.
TT, yeah.
Yeah, TT. Yeah. He then said that he was just spitballing, but I think there's almost no way that was
On
fed to him
television,
by somebody.
there's about a
Well,
1.7%.
it's a web show that you have to pay for.
Sure,
I don't
but-
know what my numbers are like, but
season tickets to them if they are in.
But in 5 minutes, that was everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
there's some interesting stuff on Sacramento because, as we know, following the Sonics thing, Sacramento's shovel ready.
Yep.
They get approved a team. They've got a 21,000 seat stadium downtown.
Wow.
Beautiful, beautiful looking thing, fully funded.
They're just waiting for the go ahead.
They're waiting for MLS to say yes, and then they build it. And Bonnie Field can hold a decent crowd, better than Avea, or not Avea, Buckshaw.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's actually soccery.
I would have gone with Avaya.
It sucks.
Whatever.
But that's you.
The respect I have for San Jose. Oh no.
Same. The Lobina.
So there's some interesting stuff there, and really the only problem with the Sacramento bid is that it's like the LA bid, but without the LAFC bid, but without the glamour. Meaning, the only way they had got enough money involved was with like 50 some odd people, and none of like the name people are the controlling owner, the 35%
Yep.
guy.
The billionaire.
Like the Kardashians are like the 47th people.
In LAFC.
in the
yeah.
LAFC ownership.
But, like, Jed York and the 49ers ownership family are involved in the Sacramento bid. But they're like I don't know the actual percentage, but they're like they're kind of like Drew Carey is here.
Yeah.
You know, they're a couple percent more the
Right.
name than the money.
Right.
And-
Whoever's the 35% owner, either they don't have or is not worth enough,
The one
for
they
MLS's
have is Kevin Nagel.
and he's not worth enough.
and they want more money in that spot. They want Kevin Nagel to be the second or third owner of the team because they love his soccer mind. He's very hard to work with, but his understanding of that market is extraordinary. Like everything, Sacramento's up there with Louisville, with Indy, with Cincinnati, Tampa. It's relevant. Minor league soccer is relevant there. And all of us here have been to enough S2 game. Like literally, all of us here have been to an S2 game at Starfire, where it might have just been all of us here.
Yeah.
We know how hard it is to make minor league soccer
Yeah.
relevant. And the Sacramento Republic have done that. FC Cincinnati essentially followed the Sacramento Republic pattern and got themselves
Promoted.
an MLS team
Yeah.
because their majority owner is Carl Lidner.
And he's multi-billionaire.
Right.
He owns the Bengals, so he's made of money now. They'll never.
That makes me think.
Yeah.
And they're getting a soccer-specific stadium rather than shared. So
Which is huge.
Yeah.
that's going to be interesting because they're going to have like a slight decrease in max capacity in their soccer stadium from where they are now.
Well, yeah, and I don't know.
That's been expansion news by Dave.
Yeah. I don't even know if Sacramento what their kind of game plan is from this point forward because now we're at 26. There's 2 slots in theory left. Yeah.
And there's
Who
still
knows?
one of them,
Yeah.
along with Indy, Detroit, Phoenix is still alive,
Raleigh.
Raleigh, and Charlotte.
Guys, we're getting to 40,
Yeah.
and then we're going to
That
be
is
arena
actually
football.
probably-
No, I think it's more likely that they get to the low 30s like every other significant league.
Do you
in the
think
US.
they do the overlap, like the NFL style?
or
at
or
30,
baseball
or at 32? Yeah.
rather than more the NBA and
Yeah.
NHL?
Split it.
I
Yeah.
think we're going to see an NBA NHL
Like 8888.
where there's a dividing line somewhere around the Mississippi, and you don't really cross conferences all that often.
So you're
I think
saying
we're more
no,
likely to see
no
that.
Boise is
So
what you're
we're-
saying.
what I'm saying is we're not going to see like Portland and Seattle in different
For sure.
leagues. We're not going to see the two LAs separated, which in the NFL and Major League Baseball that works because you can still play them once in a while. I think we're more likely to see kind of the NBA model.
How sustainable is that many teams for MLS? For you guys, I mean, I looked at Argentina and Premier go up to about 30 teams, and they've struggled. They struggle to keep it relevant. They struggle with diluted talent.
MLS has always struggled with that anyway.
No,
For
it's
one.
not going to dilute. Like, one, we know that MLS talent won't dilute because look at the level of expansion that we have now, and remember the quality of play in 2009 versus what it is
Yeah,
now.
we were coming from a low,
It's gone up
low
huge.
bar.
Now, why it can harm somewhere like Argentina is because the Argentine league, when it was at 16 or 18 teams, was first or second best in the Western Hemisphere,
Right.
with Brazil
Yep,
being
I
kind of on
agree.
par, and then Mexico behind that. When you look at that, you're talking, top 2 or 3 in the hemisphere. You're talking top probably 10 to 15 in the world. You expand that, and it's hard to find replacement level talent. But right now, the question I would ask you is who's the most average player on the Seattle Sounders? And then how many people of that quality are there in the entire world? And if the answer
10 million.
is more than like 50, talent level's not going to go down.
How many?
And
20
as they
Alfaros?
continue dumping money into the league, they can
Yes.
push off that whole
Yeah, there's not a shortage of those type of players to bring in.
And part of what keeps it up is like you're getting replacement level players from USL now readily and apparently, and you're getting replacement level players from the homegrown systems and the academies easily now as well. Whereas 5 years ago, you had to go to foreign leagues to get replacement level talent.
true.
Now, replacement level talent in a higher quality league is coming domestically.
Adam Moffat is just waiting for another moment.
You know who's waiting for his another moment right now? Mr. David Estrada.
Holy
Hey,
shit.
whoa.
Hey, I'm 30 and I'm going to have my best year ever. And y'all thought I was
By the way,
finished.
is his Twitter account David? Like Double E?
Yeah, it used to be
That's super fun.
something samurai.
Yeah.
But he removed his nickname.
He went vegan.
He might have.
He did.
Okay.
I followed him on
Is that a Steve Zakuani thing then? Is it like,
Could be. Steve.
I feel like
leave it to
half the
him.
players that have been guests on our show wind up going vegan or veg or something like that.
What if we do?
vegan too?
I can't
That
do
is
that.
very off.
Because we had Charlie
Burger
Charlie
Once
Lyon on,
they have
and he went.
That is-
the
Oh,
best
good job.
bratwurst they
Steve
could ever
switched.
have, they're done with food. They're like, I'm vegan.
And this is coming from you, Mr. No Bread.
Sorry.
No bread.
It's working.
He asked for a hot dog yesterday without the bun.
Ouch.
Okay. It wasn't a sandwich. I did get judged hardcore at the stadium on
Was it a
Saturday.
taco?
Stadium dog.
Was it wrapped in the
afterwards.
lettuce?
Guy hands me the foil, and it's like onions, hot dog, or spicy link, whatever, with hot sauce, and he goes, "This is gonna be hot." And it was like the judgiest face of all time. And it's the one stand I go to literally every game.
You literally only got a wiener.
It was a hot link.
Oh, I love hot links.
Fuck you.
Oh,
Anyway,
I love hot links.
this is a
SonarFeed
good
After Dark.
transition.
I'm going
There's
to
a
talk
good-
about
there's a good
the time
question,
I
though.
worked one of those stands.
We should
After
talk
dark.
about that. There's a good question kind of on this flow. Hunch Punch asks, speaking of ownership, what about the single entity, its future, and stonewalling of contracts like Jermaine Jones and Stephen Fry, like the TAM deals, like
Jovan Jones.
Jovan Jones, yeah.
Jermaine
name-
Jones deserved to
I'm
be stonewalled.
elsewhere. Jermaine Jones coaching,
Coach. That's right.
Jovan Jones Germany. How do we feel about that? Like, is that...
Well, when I first heard the
Are
story,
we
I
that
was-
shocked, I guess, really?
I'm not shocked, but I was
Me
still
neither.
annoyed, obviously, hearing the news
Yeah.
that, the Fry one made more sense because that was probably some salary cap manipulation.
That
But
was
the Jones one.
not necessarily to give him more money. It was for him to take a lower cap hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But the Jones one that doesn't make any sense to me. He was obviously a high quality
Sure.
player to me.
Sure.
And
Somebody who you wanted to kick. Yeah.
The assist player.
yeah, what do you have? 11
10.
assists, 10 assists last year, and blew up. He obviously showed his quality in the two Bundesliga. Dragging them out of relegation. So, I don't know what the logic of that was, except that they don't want to pay players who are already in the league more money.
Do we think this is maybe coming back to that conversation we just had about, is this sustainable and so forth? Like, is this a yellow flag that maybe we should be paying more attention to?
To MLS
because they're
finances?
doing make the splashes a couple times a year and bring in a player like the Sounders are talking about right now a couple of times to keep the momentum going. And let's always have 5 to 7 cities that want a team over and over and over and over. Like, I don't think
That's
it's out of the realm of possibility to look at this as a little bit of a red
Expansion,
flag in the
expansion
macro.
mimicking a pyramid scheme is a different concern than single entity interfering with.
Player contracts or trying to
Sure.
suppress wages.
But you make your decisions on the single entity side potentially because of the
Even without single
influx
entity,
of
you can
money
still wind
or
up
lack
with
of it.
expansion
Yeah.
fees that are disgusting. Just look at the NBA or the NHL. The NHL's expansion fee between Vegas and whatever Seattle is called increased by $150 million.
It's
So-
crazy.
I don't think that's related to. I don't think the expansion fee increase relates to single entity. It just relates to the value of the sport in the United States. Now, there's some stability that is attracting a different type of investor
Yes.
than those.
Based on the single entity
Yeah.
structure.
The single entity structure gets a different type of investor than the pro rel structure. The pro rel structure tends to attract guys that are more willing to risk.
Like your Mr. Camiso and Ricardo Silva.
Well, but even then, like the American owners that buy like League One teams,
Yeah, and then they can
they're willing to
pump
risk.
some
But
cash in
don't
to
you
move
think
them
that
up.
the model, which I will get it. I will die on this hill. To quote tweet that conversation on Twitter where it was like, what hill will you die on no matter what? The lack of pro-rel, and I'm not really a pro-rel in America person, the lack of pro-rel has built the model that is make a run in July and beyond MLS.
No.
It absolutely has.
The playoffs have made that.
Because
if you have
teams
pro-rel
know
playoffs like
they
what you
can
do in
game
Belgium
the system,
and Mexico.
And they've seen teams like the Galaxy do it time and time again in a major
Well, when
market.
the Galaxy got credit for doing
That
that,
every
they
other
also
team
won
started
3
to do it.
supporter shields.
It's the model.
It's not the model because the Galaxy won multiple supporter shields during those years they said that you say they were tanking.
In the last 6 or 7 years,
Yeah, they won the supporter
predominant number of teams that have made runs have been trash in the first half of the season.
No.
Okay.
I kind of come in
TFC?
between both of you on
Yeah,
this
me
one.
too.
TFC.
Portland is 100% that.
They were terrible in the first half
Portland,
of 2015.
the moment they beat the Galaxy, whatever that was, 5-1.
It was like April.
It was August or September, and they destroyed people.
It was
from
later.
that moment
It was
on.
later.
2014
2015.
Galaxy dominated.
And the
2011
team
Galaxy
that they played
dominated.
against, the Revs, were garbage
And got
for the
crushed.
first
The
half
Columbus
of the
The
season.
Crew-
Revs were garbage for that.
It has
matter.
everything to do with taking more than 50% of teams into the playoffs and nothing to do with pro-rel.
I think the lack of pro-rel being a threat allows teams to think they can ride the wave of.
No, it's
think
because they know
MLS
they're going to make
playing
the playoffs because they only
off-season.
need to be mediocre to make the playoffs.
I think there's no pressure to have players and force the issue from January through May or
no, because
or
the
June.
players, players, GMs get
Do you
fired.
ever want to let anyone actually have an opposing opinion?
Not about pro-rel.
You know what? It wasn't a pro-rel comment. It was the lack of pro-rel allows teams to game the system, which, to be honest, as bad as DCU is, Nico Ladero single-handedly made the Sounders dramatically better, either emotionally or on the field or both this week. So what's going to happen? Like this, the joke we've been making about Suarez. Suarez could come in fucking July and score 25 goals the way this league runs right now. He
Yeah,
can just
look at
torch teams.
look at what Zlatan's doing.
My point is, it doesn't. There's no incentive to any team to run the long game if you feel like you can play off of the rest of the Globe's season and wait for players to come out of their May, June finish of their season, pick them up in the off season from wherever else
The
they're
season
playing.
schedule issue, I have some issues.
It's a factor.
I mean,
I would agree with that. I think it's also the playoff structure as well.
I think it is the
Taking
playoff
12
structure.
teams.
The America, let's make the playoffs thing is
Yeah.
absolutely a
Belgium.
thing.
Right. No,
Scotland.
yeah, no, you're right. That's what I was gonna say. In
But you guys take everybody.
In Liga MX, it happens. I mean, there's relegation, but
Kinda.
But teams. Not next year or not
Lobos.
next couple
Yeah,
years.
Lobos, they're
Yeah,
staying
Lobos.
up
'Cause
this
you
year.
could buy your way in, but that doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that I get what you're saying, and in part I'm kind of with you. That's why I'm in the middle. But in Liga MX, it happens in which teams know, hey, you know what? We can go ahead and just go easy on. We'll push it through the last 9 games of the season, and we'll make it. And then once we're 8th, we'll play the first team, be the underdog, kind of make it through, and all of a sudden we'll make
the
it.
the
Ligia
playoff
and just
structure.
run.
This is the playoff structure.
But-
so if you make it like Europe, where it's a point system,
Well-
or the EPL, then you can't really give up games. But
Belgium has they have this wacky split season followed by a playoff thing. Sometime read about the Belgian Jupiler League playoffs. It'll take about 3 hours to understand it. The short version is the first half of the season, they all play each other once. The second half of the season, they divide the teams into like the good and the shit. And then from there, the top ones go to the playoffs and the bottom ones go to a separate playoff just as a consolation round.
whoa, that sounds like a
And
headache.
Yeah, that sounds
Speaking
way
of
too
like
complicated.
pro-rel and places that didn't do it, you mentioned earlier Argentina once expanded to 32 teams. Why did they expand to 32 teams? Because they weren't going to send down River or Boca.
Hell no. It
So
happened
it's like
at
Mexico.
one point.
So what they did, Argentina's
Okay.
Argentina's thing was not to just let the one team ignore it. They just said the second division is now the first division.
Isn't Mexico foregoing
That's
relegation
facts.
for the next 2
That's
years?
facts.
Is that the?
No, I thought it was back again next year.
Or are they bringing it back?
They
No,
haven't
no,
reached
yeah,
that
no,
agreement
it's,
I
yet.
thought
Still
Ascenso
being
came in and said
negotiated.
that there was pro rel next year.
As far as I know, or I had understood at one point, is that either next year or the year after that, there was going to be no relegation for 2 years,
Right.
and then they were going to go back to it, which is ridiculous. But just like
They'll
what
never go back.
But just exactly
Because Mexico.
because it's Mexico. But just like what he said, I mean, what happened to Lobos? I mean, it's like you had Alebrijes, you had UDG, and they could have made it, but for some reason they were saying that they didn't have the stadium for it, and somebody said, "Hey, if you paid this much money, you can go ahead and stay." Eh,
But again, watch Club de Cuervos.
That's right.
Seriously, we've talked about this way too many times. It's so good because it's all real.
It's so real.
Like,
You want to know
Everything.
what's awesome?
The
Like,
agents, everything.
Qatar supposedly has pro rel, except their second division is essentially what like the USL second division is.
Just the backup
Which-
teams.
Like half of the teams are independent and half of them are backup.
Yeah.
So really, it's only like 5 teams that can win. And what they did is they never sent anybody down. They just added another team to the top division.
Oh God. Oh gosh.
So that, like, one of Ted's fantasies is like, do like Qatar, and I'm like, that's the last time I had a reasonable
Ted
discussion with
being
him.
pro Qatar is maybe one of the more uncomfortable things.
He worked
I've
for the
ever had to
Clintons.
say
Of
in
course,
a
he's pro
sentence.
Qatar.
True. It's a good point.
Literally.
I can't argue with that.
Anyway, yeah,
go
that's,
from
that's
there.
all I got on that.
That's all you've got. You're done.
Can we talk about David
No,
Estrada
on that.
again?
David Estrada.
Good guy.
Nice. There's some
He has 6 goals on the season. His previous high, 6 goals over an entire year.
Was that with the Sounders, or did he only have 5?
No,
Yeah.
he had 5 with MLS Sounders. He had 5 last year with Charlotte, 6 the year before.
Is he satisfied being
At the
here at this
beginning
point?
of the year, he was here just training to try to get fitness so he could sign with an independent team that he didn't
Right.
know.
Yep.
He earned a contract out of that.
Hugo, come on.
He has the most appearances on
It's
the team, but
animal
not the
abuse.
most minutes. And yeah, the dude just efforts his way.
So Hunch Punch asked, how come
Oh, that is
Estrada
hilarious.
didn't get signed or didn't get put on the U.S. Open Cup squad?
I have no idea why he wasn't on the Open Cup squad. That would have made a lot of sense to me. I know why he didn't get the contract that Felix Kinkham did, and that's because that reserve slot that Felix Kinkham signed is only available to players under a certain age. David Estrada, not nearly under that age. So David Estrada to sign would have had to sign a senior team contract, which then puts them in this weird bind when it comes to trying to get a DP and an allocation player.
Hold up, I gotta ask 2 questions for Dave. Why are they hating on my boy Francisco Narbonne? Why is he the one guy that didn't get the call up for the Open Cup game? That's my
Well,
guy.
still on the red, isn't
No,
he?
he had a red card in his last Open Cup match.
Oh, yes,
He's
he did.
also injured.
Yes, he did. Dang it.
That's what happens when you only play one Open Cup game a year.
That's right.
Well, they had 2 last year.
But he got that red card. I do
And he
remember.
got a red card in it.
Yep. No, there you go. There's that answer.
San Jose one was the only one they played.
No, they played.
Sack?
No, last year.
Yeah.
Played Timbers, didn't we, last year?
God
In the first
damn
round?
it.
No one
First round?
remembers.
Because just
No,
in case
we
you
didn't play
didn't.
Timbers in the first round. We
Except-
played here the first round.
Yeah.
And then
Pepperidge Farm.
somewhere else in the second round.
Probably Kitsap Pumas.
Probably Kids at Pumas.
I'm going to go with Kitsap Pumas if I had to guess.
Yeah, that's
All right.
about right.
I'm looking it up. I've got a Kitsap Pumas.
Oh, well, then it was San Jose.
What other votes do we have?
I thought we made it to the quarters last year. I'm
think
pretty
it
sure
was
we made it to the
Kitsap Pumas.
quarters.
We only had 2 games last year.
I'm going to go Pumas. Yeah.
Pumas and San Jose?
Because if you didn't know.
I don't think it was a
Brandon says San Jose. Well, that was the second.
If you're looking it up, you're wrong.
That was what we lost, right?
Yeah, I was at that one.
There you go.
10 people.
Beat the Timbers
I told
2-1.
you. I told you.
There you go.
Oh, man.
And then lost to the Earthquakes.
Mickey
2-1.
Turner wins.
With us, too.
All right.
And by
Mickey.
wins, I mean
Yeah, because the rest you can beat.
hangs out here at the end of the table.
Nah, all right.
And as has been true in all of these Open Cup seasons, the first 2 rounds, the Sounders play about 50-50 reservists
Which is fine.
and first teamers. That was true in 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was true. Well, kind of not true in 09 because, I mean, Kevin Forrest scored an open up goal to win the game. Do you remember who Kevin Forrest is?
Who?
You might remember him because he showed up to a Sounder at Heart event as an accountant who just wanted to watch the soccer game with soccer fans, despite the fact that he had a game-winning Open Cup goal just a year earlier.
One of my favorite comments during that Open Cup match was, "Where's Cam Weaver?"
Cam Weaver is currently flipping houses, generally in Southeast King County, the
That
Kent
actually
area.
sounds like
Wow.
a good life choice right now.
He makes good money.
That's
Yeah.
good money. That's good cash.
Yeah.
Like no, Southeast, like Kent, Maple Valley.
Kent's that way.
Maple Valley, baby. Whoop.
Maple Valley's that way. You should know. It's
Kent's like right that
That's where I
way.
live.
Because Fairwood
All right.
basically you
So-
1 foot in each.
So it's almost closing time, and by closing time I mean
closing.
Do you want me to play the song? Damn it!
no, don't do that. So, Nico, you've answered some of the SonarFeed questions in the past.
Sure.
I believe, according to Ugo. But I have one, and then there are others that we should rapid fire. Has
I'll
your
let Ugo
home
back
or
in for
office
the rapid
ever been
fire.
raided by the FBI?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well said.
I kind of know where you work. If your office gets raided by the FBI, there is a massive problem.
I'm aware of my home. I'm kidding, guys. No, but yeah, I hope it. But no, we have not.
Just checking.
All good stuff. Yeah.
Mark, do you have a question?
I would ask me that question.
We're doing the full gamut.
No, he's answered some of these questions before.
How do I know
According
which
to
ones?
Ugo.
It's been a year and a half. He's been on the show in years.
Okay, well, so
We've
it's been a
talked
year
about
and a
Girl
half.
Scout cookies.
If you were to be in a bouncy house with a historical figure, who would it be?
Historical, like sports or just historical in general?
In general.
Anything.
That's a good question, man. And just to make it real quick, damn, I don't want to sound stupid, so I'm just gonna go sports because we're basically going with sports. So I go with Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho, he'd be fun.
Would he bring
Do some crazy
his
tricks?
Isn't he the one that has
Yes.
2 wives now?
He has a whole bunch of parties.
Yeah,
throws the
right.
best parties. So yeah, man, I'm with him.
Party.
That's right. That's right. Like the Mexico, national team parties.
Sean Bradley, by the way, might be a sports figure to do at a bouncy house.
Sean Bradley.
7'6", just like lanky.
I literally forgot he existed until right now. And I have to tell you, I have played an NBA video game where I have 100% just been Sean Bradley.
NBA Jam,
Specifically,
because you block everything,
just to take 3-pointers. Just because you can.
and you could sit in the key and
Just
block
hang out.
everybody else's
Yeah.
shot.
Sean Bradley.
I wonder what he's doing now.
Flipping houses with Cam Weaver.
Probably
Nico,
a different caliber of
we have
house.
a question
Yeah, right.
from Hunch Punch again. If the Sounders could realistically sign anyone by the end of 2019, who would you choose and why?
Anybody else?
Anybody. Pick a-
Realistically.
Realistically.
Realistically,
Oh,
It's not.
That's the difference.
Although Messi, he's willing to give up some Spain time right now. But no,
No.
seriously. Realistically, by the end of next year, calendar year, who would it be and why?
I already made that call.
He should be the TAM player.
If I had the call of any team and I had all the money in the world, it'd be Juan Cuadrado. Juventus, he's a winger.
For years. We've talked about that dude.
He could, take on any player one-on-one. Has a great mid-range shot. He'd work well with the players we have here. So if I had all the money in the world, I could bring one player, be Juan Cuadrado.
I like it.
Mo Salah.
What?
Mo Salah.
Well done.
But we have a striker.
Play with 2 of them.
That's true. You got my vote.
Might as well just go with David Silva.
No.
That's good.
Jerry told me I should add David Silva. And no, because my dream player will be somebody who speaks Arabic, because I still want to pull off the card of having an entire post at Sounder Art in Arabic.
Dave in an interview getting to ask a question in Arabic,
In
losing his shit.
It was either 09 or 2010. they had a Moroccan on trial here. He played for one of the Casablanca teams, and they're like, "Oh no, we don't have a translator." And I said, "Oh, that's okay. I didn't ask for a translator. I asked if I could interview him because I know Arabic." And I eventually talked them into it, except his trial lasted 2 days rather than the third day. I was told if after the second day, if he's still here tomorrow, you can do the Arabic interview.
So
Should have asked for day 2.
Day 2, they were convinced they needed a translator. I had to prove that they didn't.
So Nico, team MVP right now. Predict the end of the season.
Oh, wait. Predict the end of the season.
By the end of the season, who right now is Sounders MVP? Not as of today.
At the end of this season, who will be the MVP? Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, statistically and looking, I go Stephen Fry to be played safe. I mean, he's the guy who's been your most consistent player. He keeps us close to every single game, regardless of whether Raul scores or not. It all comes back to having a good, strong goalkeeper. So I go with Steph.
So between now and the window, what's it, the 10th? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Of
we've
July.
got...
Oh, wait. We don't have to say that because it's after the
It's
10th
literally
of June.
the next month, yeah.
That was last week.
So we've got Red Bulls Wednesday, 10 days, then Chicago, then Portland, then Colorado, then New England. Crazy week. It's like, oh, look, we'll give you 10 days off, and then...
It just reminded me of a story that I was supposed to write.
You should probably write it.
During the World Cup, I believe
this week.
Seattle is the only team the only MLS team during the World Cup to have 2 Sunday Big Fox immediately following World Cup games. Portland and Atlanta immediately follows the World Cup final.
So which they opened the stadium in Atlanta for the match, and has what, $4 beers? Is that what it is?
$5.
$5
$2 Cokes.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Generally speaking, we would not, as ECS travel, go with something like that, and we're like, we're in. What time can we get there?
It's more like carnival prices rather than
It's fantastic.
sports prices.
It's absolutely fantastic.
It's like $4 or $5 hot dogs.
So we got 5 matches. 5 matches.
Shitty
between now
stadium
and the window,
nachos.
Okay.
right?
Yep.
We've got 2 home matches. Chicago,
Portland.
Pride, Saturday.
And
next
Portland.
Saturday. And then Portland the week following.
Yep.
That one
midday.
also on Big
Rose
Fox.
Sleigh. 3 away matches.
Tough ones.
Colorado, who's garbage. Red Bulls, who have a really good defense.
And a good offense with Kaku, Gamara, and, Philip Wright.
Brother Ray Phillips, yeah.
Yeah.
And New England. So 5 matches, 2 home. What do we get out of 5 matches?
I would say 9 points.
9 points is good.
Red Bull, Chicago, Portland. What are the other? New
I'd say
England.
we take Chicago, Portland, and Colorado.
Chicago, Portland, Colorado, New England.
I say,
Those are the 5?
Yeah.
I take 7 points. I think that's what we're gonna go with 7. I think we'll tie with Portland. I think we'll be Chicago and Colorado, and the 2 games. New England is really, really good, especially at
Especially
home.
that
At home, they're very good.
Stadium.
Yeah, I mean they got Christian Penilla, they got Fagundes. They just have a good, solid team that plays great at home. I mean they were barely undefeated for most of the start of the season at home. So yeah,
So I think 7.
yeah, 7 points.
Mickey said 9.
I said 9.
I'm going to sneak in Mickey's answer by being super specific.
Go. I'm excited.
I too agree. 9 points. I also think the Sounders will be undefeated in those 5 games.
Ooh.
So the hard
Write that up.
3 draws, 2 wins.
Bold.
Huh.
Damn.
I like that.
I actually really like that confidence.
I really like that. I'm still at 7, but
They'll
yes,
have a
I like
blowout win with Colorado.
Oh yeah, I want to smoke Colorado.
Draw New England.
That would be
You
pretty
definitely
impressive.
want
Beat
to.
Chicago.
That'd be huge.
Colorado
Drawing
beats
Portland, I
alright.
have no
On
doubt
4th of
about
July.
here at home.
I will be at work.
It does happen on occasion.
The only questionable result I have
I've just gotten home
is
from
at Red
Chicago.
Bull.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
gonna be
that's a
tough.
tough one. That's a real tough one.
Plus, I can know how brilliant. Like I can. Wednesday night, I can easily. I can just be like, well, I got that wrong.
And look, honestly, I mean, Seattle has a hard time against teams that do bunker in, that play on the counter. They have a lot of wide play. So it's, yeah, it'll be tough.
Can you run some sort of graphic that's awkward and weird?
So, like the show.
Well, something's happening.
Let's just clarify that Lickett has just commented into the chat and said, Dave is Garth's burner account.
That is awesome.
I'm a front office plant.
I thought people would say that about me. I'm glad that it's Dave. It's good stuff. But hey,
Too factual to be his burner.
oh, thank you, appreciate that. That's good stuff. But it'll be fun. I think it'll be if we pull off 9 points. I mean, it'd be great. If we pull off what Dave's saying and go undefeated, that'd be even better. Especially when we got a guy like Raul coming in. I mean, this is it's crazy
See,
good.
part of why my
need that
confidence
one, though,
against Red Bull is with their high press. One of the things that
They do high press.
easier way to beat that man high press that they use. Mm-hmm. If your number 8's Nico Ladero, that high press is a lot less effective.
Yeah.
You foul
Play out
the
of it.
shit out of Bradley Wright Phillips early and then
And
confuse the
Victor.
Red Bulls.
You gotta contain Kaku.
And one of my
He's
great
the
things
leading
is they
assist.
can just crunch through it knowing they have 10 days to rest.
You got to get Kaku off his game. He's the leading assist player. He is in pace to beat Carlos Valderrama's all-time assist record. Probably won't do it. I hope he doesn't.
He runs too much to beat Carlos Valderrama's
good.
assist record.
Because that's my
we did have
Colombian
that discussion.
That's my guy. By the way, if you didn't know, Carlos Valderrama is actually pretty cool with Chris Henderson. Talked to him maybe a couple of months ago. He was telling me that Chris Henderson got the most goals he's ever had with Carlos Valderrama behind him. Just diming
Roy
him in.
Lassiter kind of said the same thing.
9 feet that match.
He made Catamoc Blanco look mobile.
That's my guy. El Pibe.
No one knows. Just let it
Blanco
go.
with the fire.
Colombia.
Never ran,
Let's
but he walked a lot more than Valderrama did. What? What are we doing?
We're gonna hit Adam's favorite segment. How many kids do I have?
Oh, with Adam, that's an easy answer. All of them.
This segment,
So-
how many kids do I have? That's a different story.
I'm unsure as to how to respond to this comment from Jerry about how many children he has.
May or may not have.
I heard kids. I have nothing.
This makes the story so much better. But let's kick it into SonarFeed reads tweets.
I'm gonna play it again because I can.
Oh,
You
there's a
did change
jingle.
the font.
And the music.
You missed it.
You want to
Do it again.
I want to hear it again. Do you have your sound down?
Yes, intentionally. Anyway, so Danny Ciascio from the Sounders earlier today tweeted, "Why isn't my key working? Who left kombucha in my car? Why is this lady walking towards me? Oh, yeah, wait, wrong car. Just another day as a gray Prius owner in Seattle."
You're welcome.
I ran into that with the black Prius in Bellevue.
Fairly accurate.
Last week.
So
I got done with the beer event and tried to open somebody else's car, and then somebody else's car, and then somebody else's car.
Dude, so in the 90s, I
Decided to
had
stay a
so
little longer.
the Dodge projects, there were like 4 or 5 keys at one point. I had a 94 Nissan Sentra, and I was at a mall the day I bought my car, and I walked up to 3 cars, and I got into one of them, and it wasn't my car.
Because the key that
Because there are
they
only
made
so
like
many
a
key
few dozen
combinations.
different keys,
But like for
of the
some
physical
reason, in that portion of New Jersey, actually near Rutgers, they sold that many
know.
white 94 Nissan Sentras.
Why did you buy a white car?
I did.
I lived in a hot place.
You're from New Jersey? I had no idea.
We went to Rutgers.
You went to Rutgers.
I lived in New York, Jackson Heights, Queens. Woo!
There you go.
It's nearby.
Keep going.
I opened a Hyundai Elantra with my key once, then it wasn't mine.
Oh shit! You have an Archie McPhee tweet?
I have only ever gotten in my own.
Archie McPhee store. Which, by the way, if you haven't been to Archie McPhee,
They still open?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
dude, and it's right near a cat cafe.
Rubber Chicken Museum.
Overheard in the store. Most people don't know this, but if you squeeze a unicorn's horn, it honks.
Hey.
And by the way, that's capital U unicorn. Also, if you go to the bar Unicorn, they have a beverage that may also be related to squeezing unicorns, but I'll let you figure that out for yourself.
Sweet.
Oh.
I feel sick.
Yep.
Adam, what do we got next? This is just going to get worse, isn't it?
Yes.
Existential comics. Sometimes I wonder how many times I could, tweet out just pictures of llamas before everyone unfollowed me. I'm talking 1,000 llamas a day, just constantly. At first, people would be like, quote, cool llamas. But then they'd be like, dang, this might be too many llamas. Do you know where there won't be too many llamas? At the official ECS llama meet and greet
In Las Vegas.
on Saturday in Las Vegas, where everyone is going to die after having spent 9 hours with Naughty by Nature at the pool at the Flamingo. Which, by the way, there's a cold front. Cold front is approaching Vegas. It's gonna only make it to 94. Praise be.
Tom, I need you to read the tweet I'm just about to drop into the Slacky.
So I have a question though. Can I still check a llama as a pet underneath?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're in Alaska, right?
Yeah.
Then you're fine.
That's not for Alaska because they reduced the Vegas.
Oh my god, they did shrink the size.
Yeah, llama won't fit
You're
anymore.
fucked.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're gonna have to put in oversized luggage.
You should have to pack it in your pants.
By the
Oh,
way,
God.
what does the oversized luggage look like in Vegas? Because in like ski places, you know what's there. In Hawaii, you know what's there. What's the Vegas oversized luggage? It's like 3 people. What do you pack oversized? in
Swing.
Vegas?
Midgets.
Whoops. I was
It
just
is
thinking out.
probably a body bag.
I was just thinking out loud.
We will definitely, by the way, make fun of IHOB.
You need to read the tweet I just put into the Slack channel. And it has to be you for the SonarFeed read tweets
Me?
for this one. Yes.
Adam broke his computer.
You have access to Slack yourself, don't you? Like, why are we waiting for Adam? This is a very good one for you to read.
I can't tell if it says Dan.
Yeah, I don't know who Dan is. That's not.
This is
it's-
a really good one. Fuck you, because we read this before the show. Official. Seattle Sounders have agreed. The 27-year-old Raul Ruidiaz as an attacking reinforcement. Club announcement is expected to be made within 24 hours. The Peruvian international has signed a 5-year deal with the Sounders. Source, The Nutmeg News.
That's good stuff.
And the best part was...
He totally, like, 2 replies deep, he goes, I'm just relaying the information. Like, he totally didn't know that the nutmeg...
Wow.
He was serious.
That was a real thing?
And then everyone was like,
That's not a thing.
have you gone to the Nutmeg News website?
Do you understand Tom writes those stories? Oh, wow.
Editor or Jake.
I got laser eyes.
What else you got?
Since I do know that it's
Brendan Vaughn. Love when I get trolled by a video podcast in real time.
You're welcome.
Like, for 12 hours, we've been trying to figure out how to fuck with Brendan Vaughn. Brandon Vaughn. And it's clearly fonts. What else you got?
Say something.
You broke the computer
He's good.
again?
By the way, the Berliner Pub.
This one's
third
super
main.
fun. This one was good. You ready? This is right up there with the taco hat that Ugo is wearing right now. The Staten Island Yankees.
Yes.
Which, in all seriousness, if you haven't been to the Staten Island Yankee Stadium, if you're in Lower Manhattan, hop on the ferry.
It's orange.
Head across. It's an amazing park, and it faces the water, and you see Manhattan out in the distance. So the Staten Island Yankees and a number of other minor league baseball teams are changing their Fridays and Saturdays this season. So the Yanks are going to be the Staten Island Pizza Rats at home games on Saturday nights this season. What the fuck is even happening? Buy a hat.
Did Casey Catherwood get hired?
There's literally hats with rats and pizza on them.
That's good shit.
Buy it.
Is this
Ooh,
Tacoma
ooh, ooh.
Center's market?
I'm going to call Casey about this tomorrow. Not about being the pizza rats, but I've got an idea.
Maybe.
What
He
He
read more
and-
tweets about Brendan Vaughn.
He and Artman talked about how they already know kind of the short list of names. So just the final 4 games of the season, do a game as each of the...
Do you want to talk about hamburgers?
Mark, how much did you pay for a hamburger this week?
We're just going to skip that.
I wasn't supposed
Mark
to talk? Oh. That's the second time I got laser eyes.
What'd I do? I wasn't listening to
You're
Dave.
live on the air right now.
You killed me with the eyes when I said that.
Said what?
Mark, say what you want to say.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Your hat.
We were talking about hamburgers.
Hamburgers.
Say,
God, you gotta have cheese on them. It's cheeseburger.
All right, so what is your favorite hamburger inside CenturyLink Field?
what is it?
Not one that costs $17.
Did you go to the John Howie burger place?
I don't know.
You got the John
Great
Howie
Valley.
bacon burger,
I
didn't you?
walked out
In club?
and I was like, this place has food. I'm hungry. $17 later.
I mean,
It was good, though.
there is
It
a
was
John
steak.
Howie steak
It was not good.
bacon
was great
bacon
steak.
burger where
Yeah,
it's
great
like
steak. It was not a
50%.
good burger. McDonald's would be better.
Hey man,
Were you at Kid Valley?
Kid Valley.
No, it was great steak.
You? Oh, great. Okay, so you're
is
in
well
the
outside
main
my,
concourse.
I will say though, the crinkle cut fries were fucking delicious.
I'm down to basically going for the going to meat pies and getting either
And this
the
is
Scottish.
this is what Sean told me. He was like, every game I get a meat pie, and that is the value
Ooh,
deal at the
yes.
stadium. So I am going to be on
Meat pies are the
that
stuff.
shit.
Depending on what you get, $7 to
Hard out there for a
$9.50, I
vegetarian.
think. You veg?
Yeah.
No, but not vegan.
So we're going to touch
Not
on
vegan.
They have
we're
a
going to
mac
touch
and
on
cheese
2
meat
more
pie.
things before we I don't know, all
What's the meat?
roll off the counter here.
Or it's
The
just
filling
the filling is mac and cheese.
is mac and cheese, so it's the
All right.
pastry from the meet pie
right.
with mac and cheese inside of it. And
All right.
Hugo,
I've
you should
meant
come
to-
sit right next to me.
I meant
Hugo.
to do that.
Come on, Hugo. Come right next to me.
Oh, come on, I got
Just hang back here.
So we have
I gotta use the restroom.
2 things to talk about. One,
Done, right? We're off the air.
International House
Of bullshit.
It should have been brunch.
burgers?
It should have been brunch. If they were smart, they would have gone with brunch because you could do burgers or pancakes.
Ooh.
So
It should have
the
been brunch.
tweet we have on the
Yeah.
screen today: International House of Bad Marketing Decisions. I gotta tell you, even if this was like for fun, they prepped this for days.
Weeks.
Days go into weeks. They definitely have never heard an OB commercial ever.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, the
It
font
is the exact font.
Oh my god!
Yes.
I watched a lot of Lifetime.
Oh,
The best part about that was
I have not watched a lot of Life.
there were
And Bravo.
so many women on
Bravo,
Twitter
yes.
today going,
Bravo,
I watch-
"If
I watch
only you
TLC."
had women in your marketing decisions. And it was like, yeah.
In literally 1 second. you would have noticed that.
Should have been brunch.
Just put it in.
I'll stick to my guns.
Are we done?
I wanted to ask Nico a
so-
quick question.
Oh, Nico.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Who's going to have a better season, the Seahawks or the Raiders?
I think the Raiders. I think the Seahawks are really going to struggle. I feel like they are relying on a lot of rookies. I feel like they need some leaders on that locker room who have left, like Sherman and Moses and those guys. It's going to be a difficult season. That defense specifically is going to have a tough time. And the Raiders, on the other hand, have Chucky calling the shots now. They have Jordy Nelson, ACDC to work with. Two good running backs. I think it'll be.
They don't have a good field goal kicker anymore.
I know. So
Yeah.
I can't wait to go talk to the guy because I'll be doing a little bit of Seahawks things for Deportes Total USA, and Seabass is my guy. What I will tell you, though, is the following. You're going to get all the Raul Diaz stuff through Sandra Hard. I mean, everything. When he gets here, what he's doing, I'm going to
What
make
video game
sure.
he's playing? Because I saw his Instagram, and he took his gaming system with him.
That's right.
To Moscow?
Yeah.
He's a gamer.
He's going to fit in perfectly.
Oh,
He's
shit.
going to be good.
That's actually why they're signing him.
He's going to be good. Raul Diaz is going to be a fun guy to have because, look, he hasn't had any issues with any teams when it comes to anything.
Team chemistry or
exactly.
or getting in trouble,
Anything outside the
partying.
field. But he's a very good guy. Humble, from a rough upbringing.
Has a couple kids.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He likes the people. He
That's
wants to
important.
be in
Yeah.
MLS.
Yeah.
He wanted to come here. So I'm excited. And Sandra Hart is going to have everything. Videos. When he gets here, everything.
Do you think that Nico or other players that he reached out to, like agents or anybody?
No, other Peruvians, though. I do have, source tells me he has spoken to other Peruvian players about the league, about the overall feel and the
How many Peruvian players
the
do we have in
value
the
of
league?
life. It's kind
The
of
quality
it's
of
a
life,
different
yeah,
quality
yeah.
of life.
But how many
in
players do we
MLS?
have for Peru in
We
MLS?
have Ayatun, who's one of the best players in the league for Orlando. Jordi Reyna. So you do have some players out here who he's reached out to, asked about, and he wants to come here. He wants to be part of the Sounders.
LFG.
Woo!
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right.
We should have just shut it
That's
down right
that's
there.
some inside stuff right there.
I am not surprised to find out that he's a family guy because I know one of the things that Garth does that's different than other organizations is they actually look for family guy than this. Like they wouldn't want the Dos Santos here.
Yeah.
Even when Giovanni was great, they
I
don't
would've
want
wanted him.
that nightlife kind of
Yeah.
seeking. That's not what they're into.
Look, guys, I'm hard to please. I'm excited. I kid you not.
What's
I'm
that?
excited.
They want introverts, not extroverts. Is that? You can. Yeah.
It's true. Hey, Waylon Francis is one of those guys. He's very up to himself. But anyways,
So
this
off
guy, this
camera.
guy's great.
Seattle is fine without children. That may be one of the most accurate statements about the city of Seattle that I've ever heard. So I want to talk about two more things, and we're real hot.
Mexico.
No.
And Colombia.
Colombia.
We're going to talk about Colombia. We're not talking
I don't want to talk about either of those things.
What?
Landon Donovan talked about Mexico.
And
my
then
man-
he basically said, "Don't at me,"
Yeah.
or like "R.I.P. my
Rest in
mentions" or
peace,
something
my
like
mentions.
that.
Yeah, I like you too much to be talking about Colombia. Watch out.
Dude, I'm
Watch out.
all,
I'll
all
raise him.
about it.
I've never
raise
seen
him.
anybody that don't like Colombia, dude. You
I'll
guys
raise
don't
no
get no
people.
kind of hate.
No
I'll raise
people.
him.
Oh yeah, for real.
So two things. One, Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, man, that's too bad.
And this isn't to like rate people or say shitty things about other celebrities and people who have passed away. It's been a minute since I've seen this level of like diversity of people who've had a like visceral reaction
I totally did.
to
man.
someone dying.
No, like out of all the people that have passed in the last years, and we talked about it at length in previous years here, from Robin Williams to the rock star, this is the one that hit me closest, man.
Yeah.
I was really bummed out when I got to
Yeah.
the work on Friday. I was hella bummed out.
But like we could talk about this for hours
Yeah.
probably, but like a real person who just kind of, I don't know, was pretty on the level about just about
Yeah, man.
everything.
Yeah,
Like,
highly
was no
recommend you watch
bullshit.
Netflix right now because it's only for another week that it has
Is it? I thought it was tomorrow.
the 16th.
Friday?
Or yeah, Friday.
They need to just extend that right now because they're
I
not
kind of
gonna.
have a feeling that
They got to.
there's probably seen a spike in how many people are watching it. Right
Yeah,
now.
I'm
It wasn't in
watching
the
it.
trending. We watched it
At
yesterday.
all?
It's not in the trending,
Really?
which tells me they're intentionally not putting it in the trending.
Yeah,
because
it's out there pulling out of the algorithm.
well, it's you know how much
They have to
money
negotiate.
we're probably talking about.
Yeah, they
there?
have to negotiate to get it extended.
Anyway, the,
Money's
the
just a
fact
math
is on
problem.
that.
But it's
there-
all on CNN.com if you have
Right.
cable package.
There's a
That's
lot.
parts
there-
unknown.
Yes.
Right.
Netflix is no reservations, right?
No.
No.
No
Parts unknown.
reservation.
Oh,
No, it's part
Who's-
unknown on Netflix.
Oh,
got no
yeah, it is.
reservation?
It is
Actually, I don't know.
Don't
Maybe
know.
Hulu.
I don't think
Don't know.
No reservations
Okay.
is out there.
But
No, it's not.
the thing that's interesting to me is like it's like anything else. There's always people that show up and are like, I have a comment about this. What's been different about Bourdain to me was there have been like 30 stories, like the one where it was like the kid who he met at some event. He's like, oh, I want to go to Spain. And it was like a Make-A-Wish situation. And he like offline, off camera, sent the kid to Spain.
Yeah.
And like there's a bunch of those stories and they
Mhm.
just keep coming out. And
Or
then
like
today,
the lady in a little dunk,
It's crazy.
little town.
it's absolutely crazy.
writing
He wrote the forward.
reviews.
He got all of her reviews and published.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because she did
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
she did a review
It's
on the
so
Italian
good.
restaurant chain Olive
Yeah.
Garden.
It's so good. And he
in
wrote
a
the
small
forward
town.
and published
It's
the book.
amazing.
Yes,
and
yes,
everybody
yes.
on the internet was clowning on her, and he's
And-
like, you know what? She's speaking truth.
Yes.
But that's the thing about him is like he'll tell you if you're an idiot.
Yes.
Or an
But the
asshole.
best part was he's like, no, I just drink the beer that everyone in the bar drinks.
Yeah.
Like that's my deal. And we watched this yesterday. A bunch of us made dinner. Mark was there, and Dylan and Brandy and Beth, and we just hung out and shot the shit for 6 hours yesterday. But like literally let it run in the background. And the first Beirut episode is really good. The second one that's on Netflix right now, watch it. It's fantastic. It's just if you were to summarize the guy,
That.
it's
That.
all of it
No,
right
no.
there.
Watch the Congo one.
No,
too.
he looked for like some off, like you will never see it anywhere else. He went to Colombia to Las Comunas, which at one point it was called the Assassin's Cribs.
Yeah.
That's where you would go to get the assassins in Medellin. He went down there, had sancocho on a terrace of a humble, poor neighborhood
Yeah.
that nobody wants to go
that was
to.
the first time I ever seen
Nobody
it. Yeah.
wants to go to.
That was a great episode.
Oh man, that was so good. Nobody goes to Las Comunas because that's the real hood. I mean, in Colombia, nobody goes there because they know that's where the sicarios are from, right there.
Yeah.
Amazing, great guy,
And it's like
He had
it's
no fear.
no
Yeah.
fear.
And the thing is, like, as somebody who likes to travel, and he's somebody that's inspiration for me because he's like, what? Just go walk around and like
Do it.
get drunk at bars and hang out with people and shoot the shit. Like,
Yeah.
that's a real thing to do.
Yes.
And like anybody who's hung out at the neighborhood pub, irrelevant of your class or city or whatever, like if you understand that, like he turned that into like a model, but he wasn't doing it on purpose. That's just what
Yeah.
his deal was. And it's super interesting to see because he's had the highs and lows, higher and lower than probably any of us will ever
Seriously,
see.
true.
And didn't care either way. And people are like, he's cocky and he's this. I'm like, no, he was just kind of like, that's a dumb fucking idea. And it's really funny to see, like, look at his tweets when some, like, politician says something and he's like, fuck you. And you're like, holy shit. And then over here, he's like, where can I get hot dogs in this random neighborhood because I'm stuck in an airport for 4 hours? Like, he's the same person
Yes.
either way. And, a couple of the things that I saw, there was a lot about the Beirut stuff, but
What was the recent one? Was it he went to like Bhutan or something? The one where he had gone like 10 years ago.
it was Beirut.
No.
He had gone twice.
No. He had gone 10 years ago and gone to this. It was their festival of.
Oh yeah.
When they start harvesting.
I can't think of what it is, but I know what you're talking about.
It was some.
Either way,
country, but
watch
yeah.
it all.
Yeah.
No matter how you can get, like, it's amazing, and like, I don't even know what to say. Like, shout out to him for
Yeah, seriously, for everything he
genuinely
did, man.
inspiring people to
Yes.
be themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's who he was. I feel like. And
No.
you really felt like he was just well, shit. I need to do something different, and he genuinely did something different, and that's super super different from what we see every day.
And to find the best out of everyone in every community, regardless of what's said or done behind it. I mean,
Yeah.
he had literally nothing to it but just to go and experience it, regardless of what it was, what anybody said.
dude, he went to the
fantastic.
dump, dude. I was watching one earlier where he went literally to a dump where people were picking garbage through
Yeah.
it to survive, and he's like, "Man, I feel like an asshole being here, talking about traveling and food when there's kids here picking garbage." To
Great
survive."
guy.
Well, and the thing that's crazy is, and I think this is where we all, again, will never touch that level, but there was an interview with him where they're talking about wherever he went, and it was like the leader or the chief or whatever it was of the village that he was at, like the delicacy was literally like it's like the anus of the pig that they just throw on the grill and cook it, and the guy literally like gives him the part of it, and it's the delicacy. And he's like, yeah, like he explained what was in his head, and he's like, in that moment I was like, what am I gonna do? Literally insult this culture? He's like, I took one for the team, or whatever the phrase was used. And that's super fucking cool, because there's a lot of really smart, really fun, really like charismatic TV people that we see who would never, they would have cut the camera right there, and dude rolled with it. And that's like, you don't see that ever.
No, it's intense. Like, I watched the Congo one where the chief gave him a bracelet as he's going away, and it's a bracelet that was in his family generation.
Right, but wasn't he wearing
they
it
were
for
slave-
like 20
Yeah, dude.
episodes
Oh,
after that?
God, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, I just, again, we could talk about this forever. I felt remiss not mentioning it, but I will genuinely miss him as a person.
Yeah, no, me too, man. I brought a print to put it up in my house. That
Yeah.
I like, so.
If you're gonna watch an episode that's on Netflix before it goes away, go watch the Buenos Aires episode. There's a bit where everybody apparently down there goes to a psychologist, and there's a bit where he's on, like, throughout the show, they cut back and forth to him on the couch. It was scripted, but oh my gosh, I was bawling. I mean, this is like 4 or 5 whatever years ago. You hear him and see what he was actually going through.
Cool.
And he kind of did it in a tongue-in-cheek way, but holy shit.
Yeah. And read his book, man. He's an amazing writer. He's a better writer than he was a TV person.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a writer.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
famous. He wrote a book called Kitchen Confidential.
Yeah.
First he wrote an article to the New Yorker, and
he
the
was just a
editor
chef.
said, "Oh yeah, we'll put this up," and it got picked up a lot. And then that gave him enough confidence to write a book about it, and then boom, that blew up. Yeah, it's a good book, dude. Yeah, it's a good.
It
book.
is
will
already
look at that.
Amazon #1.
Yeah.
Since Friday.
And he has I posted one of the last things I posted was a story on his trip to Mexico in 2014. But he has a Tumblr blog where he wrote about each of the episodes. Great writing in there too.
Huh.
You can go through that.
So
Check that out.
I got that book my senior year of high school from my culinary arts teacher, and I have had to buy a second copy because I've read it so many times that I've worn out the fucking book.
Yeah, dude,
Wow.
it's dope to hear him talk about.
And it's just he had this. Nobody could write like he could because it was straight him, but there's the humor. It's dark. It's unapologetic.
He doesn't give a
Yeah. And you could tell that he's brilliant, right? Like you could tell that he's super educated.
Yeah.
But he doesn't come across at all
But-
like
and he would
like I
talk-
could read that book, and I don't read that much, but I
He would
read that
talk
book
about
and I
the shit
enjoyed
that
reading
he's
that
gone
book.
through, and then also talk about the first time he had an oyster.
Like he remembers the oyster.
as a youth, and go into fucking detail about it, and you're just like, holy shit, this guy was something special.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna miss him.
Hi, Dave.
What's up, man?
We're gonna end the show.
Should we tease next week?
We should.
Next week, you're going to want to come down to the Berliner Pub, 3rd Main, downtown Renton.
Woo!
Steve Zakwani's
I
coming
was
back.
gonna-
He's
I was
going to
gonna
talk to
make
us
a
about
joke.
Zakwani
Hey!
and friends. And the season
gonna give a
and the World
teaser
Cup.
and just be like,
And it's Steve, so
Wesley Snipes.
probably some musicians that we've never heard of before,
Is he gonna be on that wine?
Yes.
likely.
That one.
So, and we'll see because it's only 2 weeks before
His event.
his event. So who knows how many of his event people are already in town that he might drag here
Mexico-Germany game
because
Hey.
he's done that before.
before the Colombia had
He'll do it
Are you
again.
watching it here?
No, I'm with my desk.
So that is next week's show. At least as of the
Zach.
last time I talked to him, he volunteered to come in June 18th.
So between
Cool.
now and then, Wednesday Sounders at Red Bulls,
Yes.
and then irrelevant of the result, 8 a.m. Pacific, Russia versus Saudi Arabia. Thursday morning.
Wednesday morning, something that you might want to pay attention to because that's the vote for 2026.
Morocco.
So, yeah.
Morocco, Morocco.
Basically, if you're not a soccer fan and on this show, you're wrong. But everybody that pays attention to the show should tell their non-soccer friends that they're not going to see them for a month. At least not around breakfast time.
Or your significant other.
Dude, there's a 3 a.m.
What should I
game.
tell my boss?
I don't know. Friday, 11 a.m. Portugal, Spain.
Good game.
Some people might be skipping out to lunch a little early that day.
I might feature those Friday 11s as stuff to watch.
Yeah.
Peru plays Saturday morning at 9
That's right.
versus Denmark.
Iceland, American favorite, Iceland,
Or
versus
Nigeria.
Argentina, Saturday. There's some fun this week.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
So coming in hot from there. Zach on Monday. Should be a good time.
Assuming I survive Vegas, I'll be here.
Boom.
Don't die.
That's a
Also,
big assumption.
S2 at Vegas. I did ask John Hutchinson
The fucker will
head
be right
coach.
next to me.
if he's worried about his very young team being distracted there.
Yes.
And his answer was,
You'll be in Vegas.
they need to
so
learn about distractions soon.
If I die, go with me.
But like half the team.
No, it wasn't meant like
the
that.
team's not
It's
21.
like they're all professionals, and a professional soccer player is always going to have distractions, whether they're on the field or off the field. And so, yes, Vegas is going to be a challenge, but that's something that they have to learn to adapt to.
We'll have 60-odd PCS members there.
Yep. Oddly enough, there will be a bigger, there will be a bigger
thing still happening.
ECS crowd
Naughty by Nature happening?
at that game than any home game, but the opener at Cheney, or the first two at Starfire ever.
Wow.
It's a good crowd.
I got
Good
nothing.
crap.
It's a good excuse to. I mean,
It is a good excuse.
it's a good excuse to go to Vegas.
Hell yeah, it is.
There's a first time for everything, and then never go back again.
Should I go full El Tigre at the pool party?
Yes. No question.
Do you have
No
another
question. Bring back El Tigre. We want El Tigre.
I mean, now that
We-
you've taken my spot at the pool, yes.
Yes. Can you set up a Twitter account?
Wait.
El Tigre is back.
I just have to know one thing before we know if El Tigre is
It'll
back.
be El Tigre, not Mark.
I did
Is
check the
that
rules.
going to be expected to mother him again, or is that going to be somebody
I did
else?
check the rules. It does say no banana hammocks. It doesn't say anything about Speedos.
All right, ship it. All right, we are out. Thank you, Nico.
On that note,
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Love being here, guys.
Let's go now. We're still
the pleasure was all ours, man.